Howdy, guys. My name is Attorney Walter Wolfnaut III. We're going to go ahead and get things started right now. We've got the microphone placed right where we need it, and we're just going to go ahead and force that little thingy into place. Excellent. Very good. Now, I want to go through the basics as we always do at the very beginning of this show. I have been working here for 8 years. That's the law firm I've owned for 8 years and been working there and having a good old time. The other place, which I recently started, is being converted into a 501c3, a nonprofit, is spaceconstitution.com. The website is almost complete. We are in the final stages of basically getting everything rolling with that. So if you do get a chance, go check out spaceconstitution.com. That's going to be the future website for a blog platform for people to talk about what rights and freedoms future individuals might need and or want, like going to a future space station, what that space station would have. Because think about it. Every future space colony, space station, whatever, you can put space in front of whatever you want for something new. The bottom line is that they're going to need rights similar to when America was being started or any country. But anyway, that's Space Constitution right there. Howdy, guys. Good to see you. Howdy, howdy. Excellent, excellent. Floor couple. Howdy, howdy. Very good. Okay, guys. So what we're going to do is I received throughout the week around 200 calls specifically that want to call in tonight. I'm going to try and do as many as I can. I understand there's a lot of people who want me to. And there's another 7 right there. Good. Okay, very good. I'm going to go ahead and call the first person real quick and see if I can get them on the line. If not, then I'll skip to the next person. Let's see if I can get them on the line. All righty, give me 1 second. And then we'll just go ahead and wait while people are loading into the actual system. But we are live now. We are working. We're going in the right direction. Let's see if I can get the first caller on the line, and then we'll go ahead and begin the process. Let's see if we can get them. If not, we'll go to the next caller. I know there's a bunch that are waiting to be called back. Okay, we'll give them one more try. Let's see. Okay, let's put that on speaker. Well, while we're waiting, guys, I'm going to go through kind of the future of what videos are going to be produced. So that'll be kind of interesting because they're all listing based. I know a lot of people wanted to know more about the listings, the law pertaining to specific impairments. I've mapped out every single listing in a simple way for you guys in elemental form so that in the future you can follow it going forward. Either way, if this person doesn't pick up, we'll go to the next person. Okay, cool. Next person. Okay, let's see if we can get this next person on the line. Here we go. Howdy, howdy. Good to see you. Excellent, excellent. Let's see what we got. I'm going to see if I can get this person online. Let's see, let's see. Come on, come on, come on. It says calling, but it's not reaching out. Let me try this. And if this one doesn't work, I'm just going to go to people who are basically calling in right now. And let me go ahead and put the phone number up there real quick. Okay, very good. This is going to be the phone number we're going to use. There we go. And that'll be what you can go ahead and use to call in if you have any questions at all you want to go through. So we're having kind of a unique situation. The phone is not really calling out, which might screw up tonight's thing. But we'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can get through with this thing. Let's see if we can do this one more time. Okay, good, good, good. She said, and I'll just go ahead and answer comments while we're waiting for people to call through. I just got a call from SSDI. She said they're going to do a psyche eval. They're doing it because my job was a manager in retail, and they're doing it to see what I can do for other jobs. Okay, so John R., that's pretty standard. That's just mental CE, consultative examination, medical expert appointment. If you want, I can go through some of the questions that they have. I know there's a zillion people who wanted to call in, but now
please leave your message for 5.
Wow. Okay, we are. Let's see. I'm just trying to figure out. Sorry, guys. There's literally like 30 phone call people that called in before this thing, and now basically I can't get any of them on the phone. So what I'll do is, yeah, Norman, you can ask questions in the chat. I'll go ahead and answer them there. That's totally fine as well. And then we'll go through them all. But howdy, guys. Howdy, howdy. Howdy, Florida couple. So what we're going to do is I'll answer whatever questions you have. Your video earlier of not judging disabled people. Yes, yes. What question do you have about that? And let me see if I can do this real quick. Da, 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 da. That is amazing. I mean, these people like lined up before, and now they won't answer the phone. But that's no biggie. Okay, just about a month, and it got this far. Lady that called me has been very nice. She even said she hates to do this to me, but she said Alice was great. It's not relying on this eval, a video call. Okay, so yeah, you're going to do a telephonic hearing or a telephonic CE appointment. Very simple. They're going to ask you, usually for mental, and let's see, you said a psych eval. They're going to ask you to remember anywhere from 3 to 5 words. They're going to see what your memory retention is. They'll go, oh, let's hold on. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Knott. No, went straight to voicemail. All right, I'm not going to try and call more people that called in before because I've just tried 5 calls. So what that means is that basically they're going to ask you to repeat the months backwards, the days backwards. They're going to do these memory tests and these analytical analysis tests to see what you're capable of actually doing. As you go through it, obviously, the better you do on that, the more they can write down that you have the capability to go ahead and do certain functional tasks mentally. That's not a bad thing if you can do them. You should be honest. So there is that aspect. But hold on. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Knott, Disability Resolution PA. We are live right now. Would you like me to run hearing questions with you, or would you like me to go ahead and answer a specific question? Perfect, good sir. Let me go ahead and set us up right here. I'm putting it on speakerphone right now. And basically, here's the bottom line. Make sure you use a fake name while we are on the live. And go ahead, good sir, with your question.
Okay. My question is, I tried to get in on last week's show or whatever,
sure,
but my son is getting SSI
okay,
and also child disability benefits. And okay, I got a letter, or he got a letter or whatever, stating that they reduced his SSI payment, which was $529 and some change. They reduced it down to $59, and he gets $490 for the child disability. And he had just got approved or whatever, got like 2 checks or something, and then he got this letter. And so then I wrote a letter of appeal. My question was, last week I was going to ask you about how I should word the appeals thing, the reconsideration paper, But anyway, and I filled it out, and I just put that, the truth that he pays for all the utility bills and everything, and like what money I've got, because I'm on disability too, unfortunately, but I can just pay the rent and the car insurance or whatever. So I was just wondering like about the appeal thing, because I'm sure now that I'm not sure if they'll be a phone conference or an in-person conference, I don't know exactly how to handle that or whatever.
So
I do not have an attorney right now from the state of Virginia.
Okay, so let me just ask you. So it sounds like how old is the child?
21. He's
21. Okay, so the child's probably on DAC benefits, disabled adult child benefits, and also on SSI benefits. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. And he's getting basically, they're not stacked, but they're kind of combined. Is he also getting Medicaid?
Yes.
Okay, why is he in reconsideration if he has all those benefits? What happened? Did they deny him for something, or what's going on?
No, they didn't deny him. Matter of fact, he was approved, for the 529, like I said, and then the adult child thing, and then just out of the blue, this letter came. He got back pay too. He got and that's another thing too. It's kind of strange. They said that they couldn't pay him all his back pay right now. They paid him like $2,300, and then they said that they still owed him $1,000 back pay.
Sure.
And but they couldn't pay that for another 6 months or something like that. I guess it's because of the 2,000 limit or something he's supposed to have,
Well, the way that works, just so you know, for SSI and back pay is that SSI is super lame, and it's one of the stupid rules they need to get rid of. With SSI, they release, 3 months worth of back pay. Then they make you wait 6 months, and then they release another 3 months worth of back pay, and then they make you wait 6 months, and then they release the last amount of back pay, which is absolutely
Oh, wow.
ridiculous. Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't make sense why they do that other than to stop bleeding so quickly. But the bottom line is this: you probably get some additional funds in the form of back pay for the SSI. So, what legal question do you have?
It's just like, when we have the appeals meeting,
Hmm.
I was just wondering, like, basically how I word it, you know what I mean? Because I know they're real specific on, like, the way you word things or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Do you mean like what you put on the form, like the 561, 501, stuff like that?
Yes, sir. Well, I've already done that. The reason I've done it because they said if I do it within 10 days or he, returns the paper within 10 days, then he'll still receive the same amount until, the decision is made or something like that. And so
I
I
got it.
filled it out, and all I put on there was that, he's responsible for, because see, they were saying that he only paid like 264 in household,
Hmm.
allowances or whatever, but he pays more than that. He pays for the electric, the gas, the phone,
Hmm.
the water, all the, all the utilities and everything.
So just to
But I guess
clarify, yeah, is he right now, and I just want to be perfectly clear on this, is he right now going through what's called a CDR, a continuing disability review?
no, sir. As far as I know, no. The only letter I got was just the one about the pay reduction.
About the pay reduction. Okay. And
Right.
so you're appealing the pay reduction. Do you have like an accounting as to why they're reducing the payment?
They just said that he wasn't because he was living at home with me. That apparently he don't need the money or something. I guess I'm not exactly sure. What their thought is behind it, but it wasn't really specific. It's what they said. You know what I mean?
Okay. So it could be a lot of things. What I'd recommend is this: shoot me an email so that I can look at it over the next, week. And then basically, when you call in, like, next Thursday, I can give you a walkthrough specifically as to why they did a reduction. But email me their accounting letter as to the who, what, and where. And then basically,
Okay, like
yeah. Oh, go
okay,
ahead.
like the letter they mailed.
Yeah, the letter they mailed, and then if it's not a letter that has a lot of detail as to the per month, per month, per month, or the reasoning as to why specifically they're reducing it, then you want to call the local field office and have them send out to you an accounting notification as to why there's a reduction. But if they sent you a reduction letter, there's usually a reason in there why. I don't, and you
Right.
said it was they were,
I just might have.
yeah. Go ahead, yeah.
Oh no, sir. I just might have just not read it or something. You know what I mean? Or not seen exactly the specific thing that you're saying. But yes, sir. I'll definitely do that. Email the letter they sent, and and try to get it next Thursday. Try to get through to you on next Thursday.
Perfect. Perfect.
And
And
what,
the reason why is it sounds like because they're tying into basically the benefits that you're receiving, there might be an overage between one of these programs where basically, the kid's only
right.
supposed to receive so much. And in that case,
Right.
they might be trying to hit you with an overpayment. We don't know. We'd have to look at the paperwork to see how long he's been overpaid, if he's truly been overpaid. And then it becomes a battle as to calculating essentially any income that does exist that could be problematic, whether it's countable or not countable. So, some
Right.
things to consider. But all right, no problem, good sir. Email that off to me. I'll take a look at it and then call in next week and we'll get working on that. And we should be able to get you rolling in the right direction.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you very much for your channel and this call-in show and all your videos too. I definitely appreciate it. I'm sure a lot of people do.
Absolutely, sir.
And
We
oh
try
yeah.
to. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, good sir. Yeah.
Oh no, sir. I was going to just thank you.
Yeah, no, and it's one of those things where we do the best that we can to try and help as many people as possible. And the SSA is not a perfect Social Security administration. A lot of people think the government is going to continuously make the right choice, but let me tell you, when it comes to accounting, we all know the government has a little bit of a tricky problem having good
Yes, no
accounting.
doubt.
Yeah, so but that's okay, good sir, no problem. I'll keep an eye out for that email, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Nada. Definitely appreciate it. Okay. And thank you and everybody at your firm that helps you too. And say
Excellent.
hi to them big puppies for me. Okay.
Will do, will do. Thank you, sir. Have a wonderful night.
Okay. You too. Okay.
Thank you. Bye
Bye bye.
bye.
Yes, sir.
Okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and go to the next one real quick. Hold on. Let me see real quick. Here we go. Let me see if I can see any in here that I can answer while I'm waiting for the phone call to answer. Howdy, Madame Attorney Walter Knott. Make sure you use a fake name. We are live on YouTube. And would you like me to go ahead and answer a specific question or run hearing questions with you?
Specific question.
Excellent. What is it?
Well, I got SSDI
Mm-hmm.
in 2008.
Okay.
I'm still on it. And I also waited a year to receive it, but I never got back payment. Am I entitled for that?
Say that last part again because the phone, I didn't catch it.
Okay. I received SSDI.
2008. Yep.
Right. And I waited a year
Okay.
to receive it, but I never received back payment. Am I entitled for back payment?
So here's the thing with, and they're changing, well, they may change it. I've been studying what Biden wants to do, and then I've been studying what Biden is likely to do. They may change it, but here's the rule. For SSDI benefits, the first 5 months that you wait basically don't count. They just don't count for back pay purposes. And then basically you have essentially the month where you're found disabled. And that also, that month where you're found disabled doesn't count. So what happens is this, there's a total of 6 months that do not count for calculations of your back pay for SSDI benefits. And the problem with that is that a lot of people think, well, if I get my benefits really quick, I'm going to get back pay. And the reality is that they're not if their initial filing date, the protective filing date, is the date at which they're claiming they became severely disabled. A lot of people don't realize with SSDI benefits, you can amend your alleged onset date to be before the filing date, up to 17 months, in which case you can go ahead and collect a large chunk of money going back in time. So I guess what I would say is this. Here's kind of the bottom line. How many months were you really waiting from when you filed to when you were found disabled?
Actually, probably like 13 months, I believe.
Okay. So you definitely, absolutely should have back pay available to you. Can I ask you this? Now, how long ago was it that you were found disabled? Like, what was the finding of? It was 2008, right? That was the date?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So we're like, I mean, that's 2 plus another 10 plus 1, that's 13. We're 13 years away from that date. And then, well, 12 years, a little bit less, from when you were found disabled. The SSA is extremely likely to say to you, why didn't you bring a claim sooner than 12 years later to request additional back pay / retroactive benefits going back in time? And they'd be entitled to do that because, after a certain while, the option to appeal, right? Because that's what you'd have to do. You'd have to appeal to the decision to see where your back pay benefits were. After a while, you normally get 60 days plus 5 mailings. So you get 65 days total. So after 65 days, they bar you unless you use what's called the 404.911 statute, which extends that 65 days farther out, right? So we put, let's say we need 365 days. And then we're going to move it to the 366th day down the line as to when you could potentially appeal, thereby using that statute, the 404.911. And what that does is it allows you to continue a claim. But 12 years down the line, and let me give you a standard timeline as to what I've gotten away with using the 404.911. I have been successful, rarely going back to 2 years. 2 years back. I have not been successful going back essentially more than that, and usually it's only to a year and a couple of months that they let me, use that. Now, here's the thing. If you were truly due those benefits, and I don't know if you were, I'd have to look at the forms and the math and everything, you could go ahead and essentially file, a new claim situation that would request and specifically, redress or to go ahead and be made whole by the funds that you were missing. But that would not be a regular claim. That would be more of something you would file with the regional field office to go ahead and do a calculation. There's another problem too that you need to keep in mind. If you wanted to chase after those funds, which you should, you can always.
Because I never knew of any back payment until I was watching your show recently.
Oh wow, okay.
With people calling in, so I wasn't aware that I was supposed to get back payment until me just watching your show recently.
Sure.
So I said, let me call you just to figure it out.
So if I were to handle this situation, what I would do is I'd type up a letter showing my accounting is from my early '08 letters. And the '08 letters would show, okay, you received stuff on this date, you received, you were found disabled on this date, ergo, you were filed and that was your protective filing date. You're found disabled in 2008, whatever, or it could have been 2009. Oh, no, it was 2008. So between 2007 and 2008, there were back pay benefits that were due. And then basically I would submit that accounting sheet to the regional office. But I would reach out to the regional field office specifically to ask who the attorney payment division was. Because not the attorney, who the claimant payment division was. Because sometimes they will go ahead who actually handle payment output for SSI benefits. SSI benefits, it's always through. When it comes to SSDI benefits, that can usually be through a different payment division somewhere else. So it can be a little bit tricky. That's why you want to ask specifically who's there and get a hold of somebody that's there. Now, with that said, do you mind me asking you how much per month you were getting back in the 2009 area?
In the 2009 area, I believe I was getting maybe like $800 and change.
Okay. So what you're looking at with that situation is, let's say that there was you were 13 months waiting. So we're going to subtract, so we'll take away 3, we're at 9. So we got 9 months potential of back pay. So what you do is take 800 times 9, and that's how much back pay you'd be looking at around. Which isn't a huge number, but it's also not a small number. That's something that you'd want to fight for. So, yeah. But bottom line is this: everything, I would contact the regional office if you need to. You can file a specific claim to go ahead and have a review of that situation. Now, they may come back at you and say, "Hey, you're barred from claiming," but if you do, you can always claim, like in many situations, you did not know, and it was at the fault of the SSA, ergo excusable negligence, to continue forward with your claim to retain, or it wouldn't be regain, it would be to obtain your original back pay benefits. And then, while you're fighting it, you might even throw in the option of, I wouldn't amend the alleged onset date at this point to get more retroactive benefits because 12 years later is 12 years later,
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Perfect. Absolutely, ma'am. Have a wonderful, wonderful night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, we're going to go to the next person. Bob asked, is suing in Fed court worth it? My partner just turned 62 and just wants to collect SS. Yes, suing in Fed court is worth it. And then refiling at the initial filing level, you can do 2 claims at once you reach district court. So yes, it is worth it because you want to get on 67. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Knott. We are live on YouTube right now. Remember to use a fake name. Would you like me to go ahead and answer a specific question, or would you like me to run hearing questions with you? Howdy, good sir. It's Attorney Walter Knott. We are live right now, and basically, absolutely, good sir.
I just started receiving SSI in January. I just got approved. My first disability checks were for $525, and then this month they said I got reduced to $465. My SNAP benefits went from $205 to $95 because they said I signed some papers saying I didn't have to pay people back that were giving me good health 2.5 years ago.
All right, so here's the Yeah, I know your situation well. It's one of the things that I've written a larger response to President Biden about, which look, here's the thing: a lot of people want a lot of rules changed about disability law, but there's one rule that stands above all as the shadiest, crappiest rule that they have, and that's called the one-third reduction rule. The one-third reduction rule is that if somebody applies for SSI, for every month where somebody assists them, they give them a place to stay, they give them $100, they give them whatever, the SSA is allowed to reduce their benefits for that back pay month by an amount equivalent to what they deem it as such, because somebody else was paying for them and not the federal government, which is a dumb rule because then you've got a bunch of homeless claimants who are basically applying for disability benefits who are then getting screwed out of back pay that they need to rent an apartment with. So here's the deal. They have this thing which is called a one-third reduction loan agreement. A one-third reduction loan agreement is basically a contractual agreement where you sign with somebody. Somebody's your lender. They're lending you assistance. So if they're giving you a room, they are lending you the room. And then at the end of the day, once you get your benefits, you have to pay them back. And that payment back is what makes it a loan agreement. And if it's a loan agreement, then the government owes you the total amount for each one of those back pay months, as opposed to you receiving a gift, right? Somebody's assisting you and just giving you that room. In this case, they're lending it to you. So, what most people do is they sign loan agreements with people who are assisting them. And basically, at that point, what happens is, when they're found disabled, they get to collect their full 794 per month for each back pay month and the months going forward. But none of you guys are going to know that unless you have an attorney and whether or not that attorney does those contracts for you. And I know there's about 7 attorneys that use and I made it while I was on vacation in Maine, that use my loan agreement that goes through all the statutes relevant for this. Here's the other problem too, just for the YouTube community. The problem is that the SSA reps will tell people, we'll just sign a loan agreement with them really quickly, to go ahead and, cover this stuff and yada, yada. So they'll go get a 795 statement of claimant. They'll write out a mini agreement. They'll submit it, and then they'll be found disabled 2 years down the line. And then the SSA person will say, oh, well, this isn't valid. It doesn't contain all the terms that we need. So it's just a trap for the SSA to save money from literally homeless, nearly homeless, or no, that's it. They're either homeless or nearly homeless, right? That's it. There's no other option for those two within the SSI field. But so here's kind of the thing: you cannot save your back pay benefits because at this point time has already passed. So time has already passed. It is what it is. But you can save getting 794 a month going forward. The way you do that is you get a 795 statement from each person that was assisting you, and you have them put on that statement that they are no longer supporting you in any manner or form since you have now received your Social Security disability benefits. And because of that, you basically go ahead and state to them, and you submit that to the SSA field office. That shows the SSA field office that nobody is taking care of you, ergo you need your full 794 per month benefits.
Okay.
That's it. That's how it works, good sir. Yeah.
Because I originally applied in 2015, and it took a couple years. In 2017, I saw a judge, and they said that he was getting ready to step off the bench, and he wanted me to be filed, to refile again. So I guess I lost all that back time, and I did have an attorney that didn't advise me about going forward. Just as I got worse, I just went and called them again to refile, to see if I could refile, and that's when they started helping me again. But I'm gonna follow up on this and let you know.
Let me know what goes on. Catch up with me next Thursday. We can always go over updates there. Other than that, good sir, just be careful with what you say to them. But the whole point is nobody is assisting you at all financially now that you've received your benefits, and therefore you deserve $794 per month.
Okay, and it's a seven. What kind of form?
700. Oh, the form
795.
is a 795 SSA 795 PDF. So if you Google it, SSA 795 PDF, go ahead and find one online, download it, print it out, send it to all the people who are helping you, have them sign it and say that they're no longer helping you now that you've received your benefits.
We appreciate it, man. God bless you, man.
You as well, good
Now,
sir.
can I ask you another question?
Yeah.
In Georgia, they have a Georgia State 62 program. If you're 62 years old or older, you could go to school free if you get accepted. Would that in any way affect the SSI benefits?
So they automatically put you through a CDR upon graduation from school. However, you got a countervailing force here, which is once you reach 60, even 59, they really stop doing CDRs on people because the expectation is that you're not going to improve or be capable of doing other types of jobs in the national economy. At that point, they're just looking to see whether you can do your past work. So they may do one if you graduate, but it's very unlikely that they'll do one to review you for termination of your benefits. They probably won't.
Well, I appreciate you, man.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Have a wonderful night. Thank you.
I just looked up on your site about an hour ago. I just started calling and I got you. So I definitely will call you next Thursday and let you know what's going on.
Perfect, sir. Have a wonderful night and a blessed evening.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, guys, we're going to pull up the next one. One seckaroo. Hold on. I do it this way, guys, so that they don't say their name right when, when they answer. That way I keep it to speaker. Hi, ma'am. This is Attorney Walter Knott. We are live on YouTube right now from our 8 to 10 block. We're going to use a fake name throughout this. Would you like me to run hearing questions with you, or would you like me to answer a specific question?
Well, I would like for you to answer a specific question.
Perfect. What is the specific question?
I've always kind of had a problem with maintaining a consistent job.
Okay.
And I've been self-employed most of my life. And by self-employed, I mean I had a home-based daycare for which my mother worked with me to help me. And then I was in real estate for a very short period of time. Never long enough to really make money. And then I did timeshare accidentally, and once again didn't make very much money and was in it very short time. I started suffering from migraines then. Okay. And then my mother got ill, and I came to Oklahoma because I was having migraines and couldn't go to work, and she was getting ill, and so I decided it would just be best if I came back and stayed with her and took care of her.
Sure, that's a good option.
And and so I came back and took care of her, and I took some online because I qualified for a Pell Grant, and started working as a CNA once again.
Good work.
I felt very well. I felt very sick, very sick. Actually, the first thing that happened was I went into liver failure.
Yeah.
And they took me off of work immediately. my doctor actually knew my boss and called my boss and told him I was not allowed to go back to work because he knew I was fixing to go see another patient, and said it would be detrimental to my health. But what they ended up finding out after I switched from an Oklahoma doctor to a Texas doctor was that I was born with an Arnold Chiari brain malformation.
Oh, rare.
And I ended up a year to my time reference is bad. It was a year to a year and a half later after first falling sick, ended up having brain surgery to try to correct the malformation, which once you have the malformation, you always have a malformation. But then I ended up with a cerebral spinal leak, most likely as the cause of the surgery, but that's still unknown. And I've had that cerebral spinal leak for more than 3 years. I have traveled from Texas to where's it at, John? Mayo in Rochester, Minnesota. And to try to get it fixed. And they were very close, but they had to pull out, and because of the pandemic, send me home. And they're waiting for better equipment to hopefully be able to see it better. And as a result, I've been diagnosed with degenerative disc disease because my leak has gone so long. And I had incurred student loans in the process of going to school, and which would be forgiven if I was approved for disability.
Right. So real quick, what is the legal...
My attorney says that I haven't earned enough credit.
Okay, for SSDI.
To qualify for SSDI.
Okay. So you're filing for SSI, and you want to be found disabled to get rid of your student loan debt. What is the legal...
I'm married, so I can't get SSI. Our income level is too high.
Well, then all you've got to do is find out how many quarters of coverage you do have, find out how many you need to push it forward in time for your date last insured, and just, get some basic, simple job that you can fail at. Keep doing failed work attempts where you're trying to work jobs and you're losing them. If you need, 4 quarters of coverage in a single year, just earn around $6,000 from a couple of jobs throughout that year that you try, and then you should be covered to go ahead and get into SSDI benefits.
Okay, repeat that again.
So let's say that you need a total of, wait, how old are you right now?
I'm 45, and now I've been off of work for like 5 years.
Oh, it's only 5 years. All right. So let's say you only need 4 quarters of coverage. You're going to find super simple jobs that you can go ahead and work at, and basically, earn small amounts of funds. And what you're going to do is you're going to, work at them. And if you can keep working, great. If you fail, that's understandable considering your mental impairments. And then what will happen is, as you earn money, if you earn $6,000 at that job, that'll go to the IRS. The IRS will computate to you basically 4 quarters of coverage, and that'll put your date last insured forward in time, right around basically, now. And what that means is that you'll just, claim that you should be found disabled, essentially from, right before your date last insured, because you'll have enough quarters of coverage at that point. So you really just need to find a job that can pay you over the table to do some basic work. Even if your husband can find a simple job that pays you a very small amount per month, as long as it's over the table, you'll be able to get some extra quarters of coverage, and then you'll be able to go ahead and file for SSDI benefits, and you'll be able to be found disabled.
Okay, so find out how many I need, and then do they report every quarter? Like, so if I work like a month in a quarter, does that count as one credit?
So I think what you're really asking is, do they? Yeah. So they look at essentially the overall year, and they look at quarters of the year. So there's 4 quarters per year, and they look at essentially on the certified earnings query that the IRS uses. They look to see whether or not you met your quarter of coverage requirement. But you can still just earn enough money throughout the year, even if it's all in one month. You can get your 4 quarters of coverage, and those 4 quarters of coverage would allow you to go ahead and push your date last insured forward. So even if you worked and earned someplace $6,000 that you paid taxes on, then you would be in a position to have enough quarters of coverage to push your date last insured forward, and then you just set your alleged onset date just before your date last insured ended, and then you'd be able to go ahead and file for SSDI benefits. You'll be found disabled, hopefully. You'll get your school loans forgiven.
They already said that I would be found disabled.
Okay. So basically, you would be, essentially, your school loans would be forgiven. You would get Medicare 24 months from your alleged onset date, and you would get a check every month for the rest of your life. You would get Medicare for the rest of your life, and no more student loans.
Okay. Okay. All right. I appreciate you calling me back.
Absolutely.
I'm so glad I found your site. I just found it tonight.
I totally, and that's amazing that you're able to catch up with me. If you have any additional questions, don't be afraid to reach out next week when I'm live.
How do I go about finding my credit?
You're going to call your local field office. If you're not sure which local field office you have, go to Google, type in SSA local field office zip code. A website will pop up where you'll click in your zip code. It will give you a specific number for your field office. And then at that point, you'll contact them. You'll ask them how many quarters of coverage you have. And then, you can look up on a chart for your age online to see how many quarters of coverage you need. And then at that point, basically, you'll know how many quarters of coverage you need to push the date forward.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful, wonderful night.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, guys, what we're going to be doing is, all right, we'll just take this one. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Knott. We are live on YouTube. Oh, hold on.
To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hi, this is Attorney Walter Knott. We are live on YouTube. Good sir, would you like me to go ahead and answer a specific question, or would you like me to run hearing questions with you? And please don't forget to use a fake name throughout the call.
This is Debbie. I was calling with a question regarding concerns about the $200 extra that was going to be given to Social Security beneficiaries.
Sure. So just it's really hard to hear you. Are you on speakerphone, or is there a way that you can talk louder into the phone?
Sorry, I'm on speakerphone.
Okay, gotcha.
Is this better?
That's much better.
Okay.
Perfect. So what's the question about the $200?
Well, my concern is that there hasn't been any provisions made in case we do get that extra money, because it will count as our gross income, and therefore you can lose whatever state extra help that you're getting.
Mhm.
And that $200 won't do anything to cover like very expensive medications and treatments. And also, if you're living in, had public housing, your rent will go up.
Mhm.
And other people, they might have their EBT food stamp either reduced further or completely cut off. And I think that they're trying to roll this out very quickly, and they made too many problems. I'm sorry, too many promises, and this wasn't well thought through.
Okay, so here's something that's going to upset you significantly. First off, I just want to ask the YouTube community that's chatting, can you guys hear us better now that we're a little bit closer to the mic? I hope so. If not, let me know. I might try something else by bumping up the gain. But here's the deal, guys. That $200 was originally a plan created at the beginning of the COVID pandemic crisis. And that was presented by three individuals, but in majority, it was a Schumer and Warren presentation, two senators. So, what you need to know is this: that was not Biden's plan to give people $200 a month extra. Biden at this time has not made any comment, has not presented any documentation, has not done any, side auxiliary communications through any of the people that work with him. At this point, there's no $200 that's going to be added per month based upon what's going on. And I think a lot of people were misled, and I think that's terrible. There's not anything that anybody can do about it, but the bottom line was a lot of people were promised a lot of different funds, like the $2,000, and now they're talking $1,400 and the $200 plus per month for 2 years due to COVID for all SSA recipients, which now is not even on the table. The reality, ma'am, is that here's the big problem. That $200 is, as of right now, completely and utterly unlikely to go ahead and basically be coming your way. And here's why. Yes, there's a financial aspect of it. I did some statistical and analytical accounting of what the SSA put out. And what I found is that originally the super funds, and there's 4 of them, that were set up for the SSA were going to run out in, 2035, which is no big deal. That's a long way away. But now that we have COVID and a lot of people aren't working or paying into it, they are not willing to, as a federal government, provide a new year as to when it will run out. Based upon what I was calculating, it could be anywhere from 5 to 7 years away at the earliest. So the problem is that those super funds, more some than some others, because there's 4 of them. Some will run out before others, but those super funds are going to run out of funds before basically 2035, like we all thought. So Biden's sitting there looking at this saying, well, we don't have lots and lots of money to play with here. There's another thing that you need to be aware about as well. Throughout this process, and I understand the argument where you're saying, hey, it's going to screw up my food stamps, it's going to screw up my health insurance, it's going to screw up any other state-based funding that I have, it's going to put me over to get these $200. So you don't need to worry about, because it's just the $200 as of right now are not coming. There is another thing that is a bit of a problem too, and that's that Biden is heavily focused on basically the health crisis, healthcare in general, and the economy, and racial tension, and things like that. The Social Security Administration and basically Social Security benefits is not even on the website. It's not in any of the writings. So as of right now, albeit COLA has gone up, the only thing that he has proffered to potentially help this is to increase the Social Security tax from around 142,000 up to $400,000, and then potentially remove the cap in total. And what that means is that basically, there's some taxes that we get taxed on where we get, as if we earn up to a certain amount, $142,000, then we basically get, taxed up to that amount. But if we earn anything above that, we're not taxed for Social Security taxation. That's kind of how it was. But what he's proffering is let's bump it up to 400,000 or beyond, remove the cap in total. And so that means if somebody earns, let's say $2 million, then they would be taxed for Social Security, essentially all the way up to that $2 million for that extra Social Security tax. The problem is that we don't have enough rich people in this country to move that 2035 thing far enough down the line, because that'll only get us about another potential 5 years if we didn't have COVID. Since we have COVID, realistically, it could be anywhere from 1 to maybe 4 years at the most. That heavier tax on the super rich would be able to help us. So, unfortunately, no, ma'am, the $200 is not coming. Unfortunately, Biden is not focused on this right now because the money isn't there. There's another problem too, guys, which is that if you look at essentially how the country works, we have mega debts with multiple countries. China always gets thrown into the mix of it because that's pretty much one of the largest debts that we owe. But there's a lot of countries out there that we owe debts to. And if we do poorly and China doesn't get paid, China does poorly. So China has to be careful with, how poorly America does. But the bottom line is that because essentially we have all these loans with other countries, we've now reached kind of a teeter-totter point, if you want to put it that way, where we are about to owe essentially the same amount of money that we make in a year as a country. And I know a lot of people are thinking, well, why the heck do we have loans? How is that? We're giving all this money away to people. We can't give away money when we have loans. And the truth is we have massive loans. We have $1 trillion loans and multi-trillion dollar loans, actually. And the problem is that because we have these loans, kind of like a home loan, a mortgage, or a car loan, an auto loan, every month, every year, you have to pay on it. And what they're saying is that we've now reached the point where our payment every month or every year is more than what we make in a year. So the problem is that this country does not make enough. We had poor political guidance financially for the past. Basically, Clinton was the last one that we had good political financial guidance on. After that, it was all lots of loans and terrible ideas. And unfortunately, as a result of that, the country is in a financial, really, really bad situation. The way I like to think of it as like the country is in this epically terrible situation of owing such a massive amount of money. There are ways that we could get out of it. You could legalize marijuana and people would be buying a bunch of that, and that would make lots of sales where they could tax that and tons of people would buy it. You could get rid of student loans and all those people would be buying things and they would be, basically going forward and, opening businesses and, investing more and doing all kinds of things. I pay a very, very high amount. I still have $330,000 worth of student loans and I've been paying on it for, I think around 15, 16 years now, down from $500,000 of student loans. So my point to you is, the bottom line is when it comes to investments and things like that, there are things that this nation could do to inspire my age group to go ahead and make investments and use money. But unfortunately, as it stands right now, and I hate to tell you, it disgusts me to have to tell you this, but the politicians, all of them, have led our country down a very bad path of financial disaster. And we are now at a spot where we don't make enough per year to pay our yearly costs to the loan. So that's it,
I agree. That makes a lot of sense. I think that we should try to stay as self-sufficient as we can and making our own energy.
Yeah.
And the Keystone Pipeline project, it being, done away with was a huge mistake. And I'm in Texas.
Yeah.
Okay, we're in the middle of
You're cold.
A winter storm right now, and
yeah,
we shouldn't be having these 2-3 day blackouts. We have more than enough. We are, we can make enough of our own energy to get by, just in Texas alone. But, certain things happen. Refineries are down right now because of the weather and also because of the changes that are going on economically. Um, but if we can produce our own oil or whatnot and not have to depend on other countries, that would help us to stay afloat and not end up in another recession or, God forbid, a depression. This is the last thing we need right now, but, anything can happen with this pandemic. We don't know where we're going to end up. We don't know what's going to happen with Social Security. I don't know what to say anymore. I don't even know what to think anymore, and I'm just deeply scared about everything. Of course,
I guess.
I'd love to have an extra $200, but then
yeah,
I have a $6,000 medication
right.
that I won't be able to afford anymore. So these things you have to weigh, and right now it doesn't benefit me or maybe somebody else in my situation, but a lot of things he said do make sense to me. They resonate with me, and that's pretty much it, I guess.
Well, this is what I would say. So as things go forward, this country will self balance itself out because there's so many people working, there's so many innovators, there's so many brilliant people in America that want not just the American dream, but they want more than the American dream. And because of that, like that greed of I want more and more and more, they innovate. They create these, like look at Elon. Elon's like, he is focused on going to Mars. He is going to put humans on Mars. We wouldn't have electric cars like we do without Elon. We wouldn't have some of the technology that's coming out where we have chips that can communicate with brains like that without Elon. We wouldn't obviously have more affordable rockets like we do with Elon. He went through the very basic origin of designing these things so that they could fit on the back of an 18-wheeler truck. That's why they were that size, you know? So innovation is about to take off. There's another thing too. This is probably the last cold winter that we'll see Texas going through where there's not provisions in the future. And the reason why is we have created a very early version, a prototype of thermos bottle fusion. Now, fission is a chemical reaction to create heat. Fusion is kind of like the sun, how it self powers itself and over and over creates this extreme heat and this extreme power. Now we've even figured out quantum energy, which is infinitely more powerful than fusion. So the weird thing that's going to happen in the next 10 years is that we'll develop fusion and have even more abundant and cheap power, and the government will then of course try to tax the hell out of it and make us pay the same amount we've always been paying. And then we'll go to basically quantum power, which you can store lots of energy, lots of information, and all kinds of things inside a small quantum particle. And then we'll basically have essentially a very, very cheap, a very, very small, and a very, very massive amount of energy in a small area. That's going to change everything. And I keep thinking about the future of where the human race is going, hence, the spaceconstitution.com thing. But in the future, people are going to be traveling to different planets. They're going to be part of developing future colonies. They're going to be part of creating future societies. And they're not going to have these attachments to Rolexes and fountain pens and, fancy cars. I can't think of any because I don't own them. I own I own old vehicles. But the point is this, it's going to be different. It's going to be really, really different. And what's going to happen is, and I just want to thank the person who donated $25. That was really, really nice of you because we donate $25 every show. And Cat Daddy just donated $25, which is just incredible. And at the end of the show, I'm going to tell you what we did last week, which was different than the 25. It included 25 and then another 25 and then a gift. And then we're going to actually do another 25 specifically to a pet-based organization, which might be, and I saw what Florida couple put there. I want to check with her before the end of this, specifically before I send the funds. But the point is this, in the future, you will earn funds, but you won't need things in the same way. Like you're not going to buy a car on Mars the same way that you would while you're living there for 20 years. Society is going to change and evolve and be this totally different thing where technology is then modifying and enhancing the lives of humans beyond just the internet. The internet will merely be an interface for all these other technological wonders to actually improve our life. So my point is this, while they're all sitting back going, guys, we need to have electric trains that go really, really fast. That's moronic. We can have electric cars similarly powered that can go just as fast that are, driving by themselves. So, but we're in that transitional period. You're talking about where's my extra 200 that could screw up all my benefits. We're coming upon free future electric, self-driving cars, quantum technology, quantum computing. We're coming across stuff where a lot of the stuff that you and I are used to is just not going to matter. It's just not going to matter. And that's the other thing. People are like, oh, we need to get rid of fossil fuels. We are. Oil's used for thousands upon thousands of products, though, not just, cars. And the reality is this: we're going to be able to go ahead and terraform in the not too distant future this Earth to get rid of the emissions that we're putting out. You know what I mean? It's not all going to be the USA. The USA is filled with a lot of politics on both sides of the coin. The more I study about it, and if you want to learn what's going to happen of how we're going to be restricted in the future, just think of any new technology and then think of how they can make money off of it and tax the people for using it. That's the future, because government cannot exist without taxation. And the government exists to basically create a safe environment for the people to exist in. It's like the Tron movie, how safe is that environment? Well, they're creating a perfect society, and that perfect society that we want to live in, well, we as humans who want to live in it are going to have to change to fit their perfect society. So I understand what you're saying, and I'm sorry I went off on a tangent, but the bottom line is no, the $200 isn't coming. I really, really wish it was. People need it. They need it in a permanent sense, not just for 2 years, as Schumer and Warren were pushing. So, look, I'm making a video in the future to go into an idea that I had. And the idea was really simple. The idea was, okay, what's our theoretical basic question, right? In law, we always have a question. Weather statement, as we call it, the weather statement, whether this equals this or whether this will happen if this occurs. The question is, how poor does President Biden want his disabled people to be? And we can't throw it all on Biden. We can't. There's other people. The person you really throw it on is the commissioner, but the commissioner does answer to the president. But the commissioner, that's the person who's really in charge of the SSA. But the question I raised to you is, how poor do we want our disabled people to be? And I think the problem with that question is that there's no system currently in existence that creates a hierarchy of specific stages of upward mobility. It doesn't exist. In fact, I started to create one night, I think it was 2 nights ago, where I was going through stage 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way up to stage 50 of things that a person has that goes ahead and turns them into an individual that has upward mobility. And we've never had that. And the problem is we cannot define what a better disabled person's life would be if we can't define in stages what upward mobility means at each level that they would go up. And it just kind of blew my mind that that's a failure. How do we get disabled people to have more and know where more is that they should have? I think disabled people should be able to have enough money to put some aside. I think disabled people should have enough money to have a reasonable vacation at least once a year. I think that they should be able to have these things, because it's not fair that we should punish disabled people to be stricken to poverty just because they have an impairment. That to me feels weird. It doesn't feel right. I understand that everybody argues, well, you're getting welfare and you're cheating the system. Welfare is different. Welfare, you can still go work. Disability is you do not have the ability to work at the level that you can sustain yourself at minimum wage. And that's a problem. That's a very big problem. So I started to look at this, and I'll share with you, like stage 0 would be you have nothing. Stage 1 would be you have clothing. Stage 2 would be you'd have a tarp. Stage 3 would be a tarp over a tent. Stage 4, shared 4 walls. You'd have 4 shared walls. Stage 5, you'd have 4 walls where you're not sharing them. Stage 6, you'd have a shared roof. There's people all living in a room. Stage 7, you'd have 4 walls, a roof, or 4 walls, a roof in the form of an RV. But we've never actually done that, where we've created a hierarchy of essentially living situation. And for that, it's a problem. And there's things you have to add on that are categories that can be tacked onto that, like protection. Stage 1, the level 1 is you're open to attack. Level 2 is the person has some sort of weaponry to be able to defend themselves, which is a knife or something that a homeless person might have. And stage 3, you have walls to protect you. Climate, you're in the outdoors. Stage 2, you're inside. Stage 3, you have heat. Stage 4, you have AC. Transportation, you start with a bicycle. You go to a motorized bike. You go to a car. My point is, we don't even know how to define upward mobility for disabled people. And that's weird. Because if we can't define...
I think they'd have to change the whole system.
I'm ready. Are you? I'm ready. I should not be the first guy, in my opinion, to create the first open source constitution for all human beings to put down what freedoms and rights they want. That shouldn't have been me. That should have come decades, centuries before me. I shouldn't have had to been the one who created Space Constitution. I shouldn't have to be the one to create a system that's stage-based on what the homeless should be at when they receive disability benefits and what they should rise to in our standards of upward mobility. But if we don't have that, we don't know when we're happy with how poor our disabled people would be, right? So think about this. This is crazy, right? We can't define where we want our disabled people to be financially. We don't even know. We can't define, okay, do we want them to have a car? Right? How do we expect them to get to medical? Do we want them to have a vacation every year? How do they keep sane? Do we want them to be able to save a little bit of money in case there's an emergency? We don't have that. We don't have a system to define what our homeless should have. Ergo, when we ask ourselves the basic question of, well, how poor do we want our homeless to be? The question should be, we don't want them this poor, we want them this poor. And we have to be able to define what that poor is, because right now, we don't have a definition in stage form, a taxonomy, as to where these people are at and where they should be. So in my opinion, that is what I feel is the problem with the system. And you're correct. The entire system would have to be rebuilt. And the problem is this. There are not enough people like me asking the right questions, because there's not enough people like me with as high of an education as me working directly with the homeless, which as a result means that we are not having enough minds at my level working on this to go ahead and create a new system, because the current system is not working. It was a good idea back in the day. It has not evolved enough. And I'm okay with that, because a lot of work scares most people. It scares me. It really does. But the bottom line, and I don't want to be mean, the bottom line is, if we want to make this better for people, we need to know what they should have. If we can know what they should have, we can give them enough money specifically to achieve those things. And if we can give them enough money to specifically achieve those things, then we know we have created upward mobility to what we believe is an ethical standard of allowance for disabled people. So to answer the question of how poor do we want our disabled people to be, we want them to be happy, healthy, prepared for emergencies, and capable of having enjoyment in life. Right? I mean, that's it. That's what we should do. Anyways, madame, my apologies. Do you have any other questions?
No, I think I'm done. I totally agree with what you're saying. I grew up overseas, and I've seen abject poverty.
Yeah.
And they would cut off their arm to be in my situation.
Right.
Which isn't great, but they'd be much more comfortable and have more help if they were here.
The sad
And
thing,
I'm very
yeah,
grateful for the help.
I had a lot of people in the comments talking about how a motel room being converted into basically a livable actual space for a disabled person to pay a low monthly amount of their benefits, a percentage, and then basically have that motel, all the rooms rented out to disabled people and having a social worker, a caseworker, a case manager there to help them. They said that was terrible, that was horrible. How could you do that? And then I say to people, what do you mean? The other option is they're under a bridge where they have to remove one of the tiles to get into the area where they have some of the electronics stored so that they can live inside literally a bridge. They couldn't afford to have traditional housing because traditional housing costs too much per month until they can wait to get Section 8. But hey, who's got years for that when you've got cancer? So, it's just look, I'm in full agreement. The system has to be redone. Can it be redone? Yes. Should we redo it? I don't know. Do we like our disabled? Do we want them to be happy? Do we like our retired? They're only the people that built the system, right? That we live in. When you look at all these retired people, you look at the vets, you look at the financial people, the legal people, the administrative people, right? When you look at all of them, and you see their eyes, these are the people who made this country exist, not the politicians. The politicians existed for the people that created all the loans that the people, my generation, now has to pay back. So you don't look to the politicians to save people. You look to the people to save the people because they're the only people who know how to build this country. The people who know how to spend money are the politicians, the people who know how to make money, who know how to make products, who know how to make commerce and society. That's the people. But yet we ignore them because the politicians are better actors and actresses. They get up there and tell their story. They get up there and influence people with their magnificent, spiel. Drives me up the wall. I hate it. I cannot stand actors and actresses in politics because all you're doing is you are presenting a stage to somebody who does not have the interest of the general public in the palm of their hands like it should be. What a horrible, horrible job it is to be a senator, to be a House rep, to be the president. Like, take away people being mean to them. What a horrible job that is. You have to consider all these people's standards and lives and find a system that works for them without running into a gridlock. That to me is insanity. How you could potentially create that. And then you add the divisiveness of Democrats and Republicans. You add, basically advocates on behalf of corporations like the XL pipeline, and who's paying for the shipping, right? How much money did the person paying for the shipping of that oil that the XL pipeline would get rid of? Well, how much money did they donate to a party? It's one of these things where we could have a great system, but the super wealthy make money off of a system. And if we don't really like, that system that they have, we want to make it cheaper and better for people, well, we have to answer to the wealthy, we have to answer to the politicians. And it was never made for that. The whole point of the government was it was made, space constitution, it was made with a constitution to be for the people, because the people are the ones who ultimately have to pay the bill, not the politicians. Not the politicians. They don't pay the bill. We do. Anyways, Madame, my apologies. Do you have any additional
We should
questions?
have a direct democracy then instead of a representative one.
Isn't it?
I don't see that coming about anytime soon.
Isn't it weird that we now have the technology to have voting directly from our phones through a blockchain? If people were really that concerned about cheating in the prior elections, why didn't they all just go get a Wi-Fi blocker, sit outside the building, and turn them all on? Then there wouldn't be cheating, because if there was a potential for cheating of a wireless connection being made, you could Wi-Fi block all of them. But it's just, you know what I mean? I look at this thing and I say to myself, we have the technology for having all these systems being fixed to be significantly better than they are, all because of the chips that we have. Silicon Valley, China's making them, all those things. We have the technology, but we don't use it because we would upset the routine of the people who truly have power in this country. And that's upsetting to me. When I joined certain clubs back in the day when I was in law school, I got to tell you, I thought, boy, we can change these clubs to really help people. And now I've realized that there's no changing them unless the people decide in total, that they want a new system. And the first thing we have to do is use new technology to create new voting so that that new voting has nobody questioning it. Nobody on the left, nobody on the right. We should have a system that everybody loves and trusts, no matter what. That should be a basic formula. Now, I agree, there's people who are crazy who will say, there's no way you can ever, yada, 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 yada. And there's no way to have it perfect. But we can get a lot better than we have it right now. But, yeah, it's just one of those, it's one of those things, Yeah. So I'm reading through some of the comments. Obesity, examples of costly. Anyway, do you have any additional questions? If not, I'll go ahead and go to the next.
No. No. Thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. I will catch you at some point in the future if you ever call back in. And thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, guys, we'll go to the next call. Sorry about that little rant. I got upset when I saw, because I've been living with this system for 15 years of trying to help the homeless, and so many calls I've missed so far. There is no easy solution, but we don't even have the foundation for what it should be. So yeah. All right. Anyways, here we go. Let's call the next one real quick. Retired Sergeant Melinda, I appreciate all the things that you've done. Thank you so much for serving this country. We need more people like you who appreciate America. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Knott. We are live on YouTube, and please make sure you use a fake name throughout this. Would you like me to answer a specific question, or would you like me to run hearing questions with you?
I would like to ask you a question.
Perfect. Now, it's a little tough to hear you. Can you go ahead and do me a favor? See if you can talk directly into the phone or switch it off a speaker.
I would like to ask you a question.
Yep, perfect.
Okay. The question I have is, I am ill right now. I'm 60 years old. I'll be 61 soon.
Okay.
And I can't work right now because of my health, and I have some stress issues. But the situation is, if I saw something where a guy was saying, okay, he can tell you how to invest, whatever, and it's like investing, you were doing investing or trading.
Mm-hmm.
So if I did investing or trading, could that potentially mess with my SSDI?
Okay, so SSDI is different than SSI. It's not a poverty program, which means that you can have a lot of unearned or you can have a lot of not countable income coming in. I don't know what kind of investments you're talking about, but here's how you can look it up to figure out whether or not it's going to hurt you. You're only...
Okay, like investing in Bitcoin, investing in the stock market, like investing.
Well, that depends. Are you selling the stock, or are you getting some sort of monthly amount off of it? Are you,
Yeah, I would be trying to invest in the stock.
But are you...
So that's not the same as working income, correct?
Right. So there's earned income, non-earned income, and then there's resources. Earned income and non-earned income occur at the beginning, in the month that which you receive it. And then if you hold on to it for more than a month, it transitions into becoming a resource. And what you got to look at is all of those three categories: earned income, unearned income, and resources. They come in two options, two flavors. That's countable, non-countable, countable, non-countable, and again, countable, not countable. Some of them are countable, where they hurt your benefits. Some of them are not countable, where they don't hurt your benefits. So what you want to do is, and keep in mind, there are some stock trades, there are some stock sales, there are some dividends. I don't know all the rules that exist for them. I got, I had
I think dividends would hurt, right? Because it's a dividend. It's something that you're just basically investing. For an example, if I was involved in a lawsuit and I got money, they won't mess with me because it's not based on income like SSI.
It depends on what. See, here's the problem we get into. It depends on what kind of claim it was. If this was a personal injury claim, then that's different than, for example, you know, a different type of claim where you have, like if you were injured, that's not like a traditional taxable item. But if you get another type of claim coming in, I'm sorry, I'm in the weeds. Let me go back to the first question, because a lot of people, they get me going on one thing and then I don't answer the first thing, and then I get
Okay, I'm sorry.
no, you're fine. I'm my brain is, like a squirrel trying to find, a way out of Texas. All right, unearned income is money you get in basically a way that doesn't, you know, count as traditional income. So dividends, and I'm just reading the thing here: income, dividends, or profits from a trust or investment. Let's see, so insurance, short. All right, so that falls on. So a dividend from a stock would fall under an unearned income, and now we have to see whether it's countable. So let me see. Let's see. Are dividends considered income? I have to look it up because I don't remember all the countable and non-countables.
Okay, now one more question. If I have like degenerative bone disease,
Mhm.
scoliosis, fibromyalgia, and all that, what is my likelihood? Like I'm 60 years old now. I would hope that they stop messing with me. But I know they sent something to my doctor about a year ago.
Mhm.
You think they'll keep messing with me now? Or
No,
you think they'll stop?
they're done. They might send one around 58, 59, but once you hit 60, they stop doing it because the statute changes where element 5 of the 5-step sequential process basically disappears. In this case, a CDR, it's 8 elements, but the easiest way to think about it is once you turn 60, they don't care if you can do other types of jobs in the national economy. They only care whether or not you can do essentially your old jobs that you did. So let me see here. Christ. So when you read, and I'm in a policy specifically for SSA POMS guide, which is the Program Operations Manual System. Citation, it's SI 00830.500, dividends and interest. I'm in this section. So when the source of the dividend or interest is accountable resource under SI 0110.001B.2, then the dividends or interests are excluded income. If they are an excluded resource, federal statute other than the Social Security Act comes in play, SI 01130.050, the dividends or interest are excluded income as well. However, if they are an excluded resource under the Social Security Act, the 1613A, we have to look to see the appropriate POM section related to the resource exclusion for treatment of interest or dividends. All right, so what they're saying is that it's not counted.
That's what I figured, because it's considered like an investment or something. It's not like you're taking a risk. It's not like you're working on a normal job earning income.
Yeah, but be careful because, man, I've been nipped with that. I'll send it in and I'll get something back from one of the attorneys at the SSA, and they'll be like, "Well, we went through everything and we found that this one violates this exception on the, and I'm all of a sudden I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, just
Well, what I'm thinking, what I'm hearing is that if they just want to get jiggy with it, they can find a reason to try and come after you for anything. I mean, you know what I mean?
they've.
And then one more question.
Yeah.
There's a question that a lot of people want to know, this same question. And it's kind of off the topic, but then it's not. Now, as you know, Biden is proposing this rental relief, but they say for people who have been impacted by COVID if you were working, not employed.
Right.
But now here's the, or they can say loss, or if you've had significant loss of income due to COVID. My question is, no, I am not working, have not been working, but could I still qualify if the doctor says that I'm ill and I have to buy extra vitamin and things due to COVID? And also, my service animal had got very ill, and she had to go to the animal hospital for them to see her. They said that instead of having a regular visit, they had to have an emergency visit, charge the emergency price, which was one night because of the COVID virus. So would that fall under? You know what I mean? If I have I earn less than 50% or 80% of the median income,
My rent is almost more than half than what I make. I only make $2,500, which is from Social Security Disability and then DIC, because my husband died of a service-connected death.
Gotcha.
So I get $2,500 in total, but my rent is like 1,000. It can fluctuate from like $1,400. So it's almost or $1,600. So it's almost more than what my income is. So could I still qualify if I hit significant loss? My service dog, I had to put out over $5,000 to try and keep her alive. She still died. So that's financial hardship. Plus, I'm ill. Being that I'm 60, I'm at risk. So I have to get extra vitamins and herbs and stuff. And so that because of the COVID virus, I'm at risk. So would I still qualify under the rental relief even though I'm not working? And that's a question a lot of people want to know.
All right. So all right. Let me answer a very generalized aspect of it. I have not read the specific rental release assistance plan yet. I can do a video on that and go into it. I'm going to search right now while we are on online to see if I can find the actual legal language of the statute or the presidential the swipe of the pen, executive order, final rental release law. Let me see if I can find it right now.
Okay.
And I'm just seeing a bunch of like news stations reporting on it. See, here's the problem with a lot of the stuff that people keep asking me. They're like, hey, am I going to be able to get into this thing? And then basically I say, well, have they released the law on it yet where I can read it? And then everybody always comes back and says no. And then I can't physically answer something where I can't read what they've specifically created as law to be released. Yeah.
Right. Well, the thing is, I know you can't come out and say this is for sure, but you can still give your opinion. And I know you're giving me the knowledge based on your opinion. You're not necessarily saying that it's a fact per se, but based on your understanding from what you read, you can say that. So just based on your understanding from what you read, it may not be written in stone or actual fact, but based on what you read, I'll let you read it because a lot of people on Social Security, we don't have anything for us that's coming in. So we're trying to figure out there's got to be some loophole and stuff. That we're ill, we're still being impacted by the virus, even though because the rule says is that either point A, you have to be unemployed, you must have lost your job, or you have insignificant loss because of the COVID virus. They didn't say you had to have COVID. They said insignificant. What is considered significant? I'm sorry, not insignificant. What is considered significant loss because of the COVID? So I'm saying if I'm ill, I'm 60-some years old, and my doctor says that my doctor tells me that you need herbs and vitamins. And one of the reasons why my service dog got ill was because I was at a store. She was a little small dog. I had turned my head for a second. The manager didn't believe she was a service dog, but she wanted to test and see. So she stuck her hand in my little dog's mouth, tucked in her ears, and I turned around and said, "What are you doing?" My dog ended up getting ill. And like the lady I heard, she went into the hospital. She was very ill. She had COVID. Me and my dog ended up getting ill at the time. Now, I have not had an antibody test to see if I had caught this COVID or not, but I did hear that dogs can catch COVID. It is a fact.
Yeah, they can.
So, that's just a question. If she was somehow impacted that way, because I had to put out funds because of it, and the person who did this got ill, and there's a possibility that she got ill because of that reason. I'm just trying to find a legal loophole. Because I think that people in our position, we are vulnerable, even though we have not had a job, we have also been indirectly impacted. Some of us have to buy extra herbs, vitamins, things like that because of the COVID, and that's taking money away from the little that we got. So if we got a letter from our doctor or something, that's still impacted by the COVID virus, I would think. There's got to be some loophole for us.
So with the dog thing, yes, that'll probably get you around because it was an emergency release of funds specifically relevant to your impairment. It's a medical cost. Which state are you based in, by the way? Because it looks like the state application of covering rent, which is what you're really asking about, right? Who's covering my rent during this period? It's different per state. And a lot of them are.
I'm in California.
You're in California? Okay, hold on. Let me get up to the C's here. Okay, so it looks like, all right. So there's a hold on evictions through to 6/30/21, which is way farther and longer than most of the other states. There's a hold on utility shutoffs until 4/16/21, so April, mid-April. Governor signed legislation extending the eviction ban through June 30th. Also, see California eviction moratorium bans and tenant protection for the status of utility shut-off moratorium, blah, blah, blah. CCB website and consumer protection. This doesn't answer that. All right. There's another section on here about Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, about covering people's rent. I would have to read through. Also, certain owners of multifamily properties backed by Freddie Mae and Fannie Mae can extend their loan for ban. Well, that's just loan for bans. Let's see. To find out if your rental, that's just all rental, is covered by Fannie Mae.
There's something called I think it's called turnkey. Hold on. Let me get the name of it because I have it right here. The website that you can go to. There's a website
Okay.
that you can go directly to, and it explains it. I just don't understand it.
Yeah. What is the website? I'll check it out.
Hold on. Let me.
Okay.
1 second. I got to put you on speaker for a second because I have to look.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, do your thing.
Not one thing is with me. I think it's called. Let me see. Turnkey. Let me see. Turnkey. It's something key. Oh God, I wish I would have had it when you called me.
Well, I tell you what, let's do this. Send it to me. I'll do a video on it. I mean, I'll sit there, I'll read it, I'll highlight the stuff, and I'll go through what works, what doesn't work, what I see, working out. But yeah, send it to me because
What is your email address? Because a lot of people, I'm sure, would be interested in this. There's got to be some loopholes somewhere. What is your?
it's so send it to my specific one, WRH at disabilityresolution.com. Again, WRH at disabilityresolution.com. And I'll take a look at it. I'll read through it. Yeah, there's the CDC.gov guidelines, but that doesn't seem to really have the whole rental release thing that goes into it.
WRH at disability what?
At disabilityresolution.com. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now you know what I'm thinking. Usually, WRH at disability. Usually, the different ones mimic each other. Otherwise, they do have it open in other states, but not in California. But it's still the same, basically to some extent, qualification.
Yeah, usually because it's a federal program. I mean, states can go ahead and limit it if they want to be more specific. But yeah, I mean, most of these things that come out, it's all very similar. But I haven't heard a lot about this rental release. I knew that they had to create something. I mean, because we're at the end of all the Trump stuff that was put in. Now we're into the Biden stuff starting. So they had to put something in place for all these people that weren't paying rent, and then they got to pay all the landlords. So I knew something was coming.
So here it is. It's called COVID Tenant Relief Act, and it's housing is key. Go to COVID Tenant Relief Act, and then go to housing is cheap.
Okay, let's see. Looks like we got Governor Ron DeSantis is doing something, protecting renter and homeowner rights during HUD, renters, HUD, blah, blah, blah. All right, I'll have to go ahead and take a look at this.
There's a link right there. There's a link, and it'll take you straight to what we need.
I tell you what, shoot me a text after we hop off the phone. I'll grab the link or an email, the link, and I'll read through it because in order to give you a proper answer, I have to read through it because people never ask me the simple question of like, hey, does it exist and when is it going into place? They ask me like, if this occurs in this situation and I have this on my record, what will happen? So let me send me the link. I'll check it out. I'll create a video on it and then we can talk about it. But you're absolutely right. I mean, we're coming to the end of the government helping us with this whole COVID situation, and they're going to have to somehow pay for the landlords for all the people who weren't paying the rent all this time. So I'll go into that. Yeah.
And here's the problem, sir. Even with the moratorium, they're still finding loopholes to kick people out. You have to be, they're telling people, well, you got to pay at least, you have to show an effort where you're paying at least 25%. And then what they're doing is they're going to court and they're getting a court order to kick people out. So that's how they're getting around the rent moratorium. I mean, there's different places you can call for help, but that's how they're getting out around it. They're going straight to court and they're getting the court order to try and kick people out. And then even if the law is in place where they can't kick you out right now, the fact still remain at the end of the moratorium, you're still going to get that money back to them. When it ends, you're going to have a lot of people that is homeless. And so, and we already have a lot of people, that's losing their jobs and things. He cut off the pipeline. That's over 11,000 jobs right there. It's a real hot mess. So there's an increase and it's like a let off a domino effect where so many people are losing their jobs and it's a hot mess. People can't get to work in Texas. And then he's signing away the rights to the grid or whatever. So now, that means we can be spied on. They can mess with our weather. They can do anything, being that he signed that away to China. So anyway, that's another subject here or there. But I'm just saying, America is in a hot mess. And something really needs to be done. So I'm just trying to find a loophole. I'm sitting back saying, is there any loophole for us, for people on Social Security disability, being that you say it's going to end, something 37, okay, I'll be 80-something years old then. But still, this is just absolutely deplorable. So I'm just trying to find that. So I'll let you look at that, and then you can do a video on that and let us all know.
Will do. Will do. Will do. I'll work on it. I can't do it tonight, obviously, to start figuring out because I agreed to write a contract for a homeless help shelter that they need. So I'm going to be doing that tonight, but I will take a look at it over the weekend and then basically I'll come out with a video with the specifics that goes into it for SSA recipients. But let me take another caller.
I want SSDI.
Yeah, I'll cover SSDI, SSI, retirement, all that stuff. Yeah.
I appreciate this, sir.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. There's got to be something for us. They don't have really anything for us in your. And I thought about getting. If I thought about getting the what do you call it? Because a lot of people on Medicare, they don't know that that you're on Social Security disability and you're on Medicare. You can get your premium waived based on your income or whatever, or if your rent is more. So the question is, if I got my premium waived, would that then put me under a different program like SSI to some extent, or what would happen then?
Right. Well, and I hear you, but let me grab the next caller because yeah. But,
God bless you. I'll let you. I'm sorry about all the questions.
No, it's okay. But shoot me an yeah, shoot me an email. I'll grab it from there, and then I'll take a look at it over the weekend. And then keep in mind over the weekend I have to write just over I think 9 briefs. So it's going to be hell. But
if you do it 2 weeks, a week or two from now, that'll be fine. But they're kind of dragging their feet anyway.
I gotcha. No problem. Let me grab the next call. Madame, have a wonderful night, and I'll catch up with you in the near future.
And thank you for fighting for us to be in hero.
Absolutely. All righty. Perfect.
God bless you for the call.
You as well. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Call from.
Hi, this is Attorney Walter Knott with Disability Resolution in PA. We are live, good sir, and we are now. Remember, use a fake name, and also, would you like me to answer a specific question, or would you like me to go ahead and run hearing questions with you?
I
morning. My case, I'm currently disabled, and I'm wondering, are we in? I didn't catch the first part of your your video, and I'm just wondering, are we in this new stimulus package, or are they leaving us out? Disabled. I got to turn down my volume on my computer too, because I'm getting feedback.
So, unfortunately, good sir, and I hate having to be the bad guy over and over, but disabled people are going to receive stimulus, but it's not like they're going to get that extra $200 a month. It's not in there. I read through it. It took me forever. It's just not in there. I also went through to see if there were any auxiliary attachments, schedules attached to it that would come into play at a certain point throughout the process, and I couldn't find any. So I was really hoping everybody would get $200 a month with the statutes to protect also their food stamps, also their rental agreements, also their insurance agreements. But no, good sir, that was not actually Biden's thing. That was two other senators and another gentleman who made this whole thing about, basically providing people with that $200 extra per month for 2 years. And in fact, here's
that
the
wasn't what POTUS ran on. That wasn't what Biden ran on.
No, Biden didn't run on that. He talked about it a little bit, which is why people kept talking about it. But that was not his thing. In fact, that it's over a year old. And basically, the idea was to give $200 per month over a 2-year period as COVID relief for those individuals who are receiving benefits through the SSA to help them with any additional, like to have rental, or rather to have food delivered to them as opposed to having to go pick it up, because obviously the people usually receiving benefits from the SSA are in a more likely scenario to catch COVID and be, even worse from it. So that was the idea. It's not in the new documentation, and to be honest with you, I don't think it's going to be. And I'm creating a demand letter to send to Biden that's going to have me on both my knee pads saying, "Hey man, come on, let's actually, But the reality is, when I started to do the accounting for the government, this is the first year out of the history of the Social Security Administration's trust funds, where specifically one particular trust fund in particular, but specifically the trust fund isn't making enough money to pay for all the people receiving the benefits from I think it was the retirement fund. So the problem is, this is the first year this system of people.
They were selling bonds. The United States was selling bonds for this. They put bonds up because they knew they had to cover this somehow. And I still disagree with the way they're handling this whole thing. They're not even spending anywhere near what the GDP is to get ourselves. And then quoting Janet Yellen, she said we can either have a big, bold economy, or we can have a slow, protracted, dragged out. And I'm from the Keynesian School of Economics. I believe in education. Sure. I believe in giving from the ground up. Trickle up economics, not trickle down economics. I'm done with that. It's proven theory that it doesn't work for people. And you see this as an attorney, I'm sure. People on disability, people who are poor, they're the first ones to get programs slashed. We're the first person to get cuts, and so I don't know if I can receive any more benefits than I'm getting other than what this stimulus is. And I don't know if is there plans for another stimulus? It just seems odd that there's all this rent moratorium and protections put in place, mortgage forbearance. The IDL went through. It just seems they're cutting everything in August, and like Janet and Jerome Powell of the Fed said, we need big, robust money to get in the hands of people. I would be smart about it and say, hey, you make over $150,000, you're not qualified. If you are, you get stimulus checks if you're disabled or you're elderly. They forget we vote. So I usually tag the people, and then on Twitter, and then I'll do seats for stimulus as a hashtag, or they're seeing the pressure, they're feeling it. It's just they're trying to do everything to use diversion tactics to not address the elephant in the room. Your opinion, attorney?
My opinion is that unfortunately the country is in severe debt. There are things that they could do to get us out of severe debt immediately. Those are to not invest into traditional green companies that will then be sold off to China, like is what happened at the end of Obama's era, to invest into corporations that already exist and turn a profit with the funds that we do have, to create a true mega trust fund of the American people with any potential that we have, and to also legalize marijuana because you can tax the hell out of it and make a lot of money off of it, to get rid of the student loans that people have, either in part or in total, because then those people will be able to spend that money in the economy. And to be fair, the future corporations are going to be built by those kids as opposed to those who are basically over 50. So the reality that we're looking at here, and I mean, you could push that to 60, but the reality we're looking at here is that it's fixable, but the people we have voted in right now, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that they want to. They could, but I don't think they want to. So I am scared. I think Biden has some really good ideas that I really like. But the problem is, and you got to understand, remember when you said the first people to get their benefits cut are usually like, the SSI, SSDI retirements. Well, retirement's always pretty much the same, but, it's individuals. The people who actually usually get their benefits cut first are the kids. And the kids get their benefits cut because they know those kids aren't going to vote. So
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, so and that's American kids and immigrant kids, and not here yet, legally immigrant kids, not naturalized, so or not with naturalization. So it's just it's one of those things. I understand. I really would like to fix the system. And here's the thing too. Let's look. Let's be fair about this. Remember when AOC came out with that whole green, New Deal, and everybody was like, "This is insanity."
Yeah.
That green
I
New
watched that Michael Moore.
Right.
Michael Moore movie that you feel good by plugging in your car and having an electric car, but
it's all coal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a coal fired.
Right.
And then they say, oh, we converted it.
Right.
But now it's gas. So they just switch one evil for the other. It's cleaner now. It's a cleaner for the environment, but in all essence, it's still we're relying on old technology.
So here's the thing: energy is not going to be our problem in the future. We're going to have fusion to everybody in a couple of years. We're going to have quantum electricity in even less time than that. We are. Electricity is not our problem in the future, other than it upsets the balance that we currently have as to how much money they make off of us.
Right. Yeah.
So that's basically whoa. Retired Sergeant Melinda just donated $99.99. Whoa.
God bless you.
Wow.
Bless you, Sarge.
Wow.
I'm a retired colonel.
Wow. Thank you for your
Lieutenant
service.
Colonel, let's be fair.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm an old timer. I kind of got screwed out of the Army. My father knew somebody, and I had a head trauma, so he flew me out of Middle East to New York Hospital to get operated on. And the Pentagon and the DOD said, you got a military discharge, and since you had your work done outside the Army, you don't have VA benefits. So pretty much excommunicated.
Oh wow, that's
so
interesting.
I went on SSDI. I had to rely on people like you that are like angels out there. Well, there's not a lot of angels there. You're one of the few, but you offer hope. Like, I mean, you're sensible and pragmatic about it.
I just want people to be treated. I mean, I would look. I'm not going to negotiate for fair. Fair's too tough. You know, I'm going to negotiate for enough so that they have enough. That was my whole thing before of like, we don't even know what enough is. We don't have like a stage system to say we want them at stage 15, which is they have a car, you know, they have electricity paid, they have this, they have that, you know, we don't know how much we need to give disabled people per state because we don't know what upward mobility moment, what stage they need to be at to live and that's the thing that bugs me about this. These are Americans. Well, these are Americans. This is the best country in the world. This is better than China. It's better than Russia. It's better than Australia. It's better than Germany, Austria, California. Is just, in my opinion, as a state, doing things that they shouldn't be doing. But I'm not going to get into that politically. My point here is this: there's all these countries that, and I look, I'm a terrible, terrible person with politics because I don't fit into any party. And I'm not one of those people that's like, I'm a libertarian. Like, I started spaceconstitution.com because I realized that my butt was not smart enough to figure out all the rules that people would need. I'd rather people figure out what rules they want, anyways, for themselves. You know, that's the whole idea of an open source constitution. What do you want? But when you look at how they're restricting people and all these new rules that are restricting new corporations that are coming into existence, like California, you don't see all of that stuff in a lot of these European countries anymore. They're getting rid of a lot of these restrictions. They're getting rid of a lot of these restrictions for a lot of reasons. A, their currency is diving. Their currency is diving. You know, you see what's happening with Britain. You see what they're doing. You see how they're splitting off.
Yes.
You know.
Same as the yuan, yeah.
Yeah.
Chinese yuan.
Exactly. Their currency's dying. And there's another thing most people don't realize, which I learned in my MBA way, way back in the day, but they don't tell anybody about this. But that when countries buy from another country, usually they either have to buy US tender, right, US currency, or in order to buy that country's products, we have to buy their currency to then buy their product. And then we have all this massive amount of currency left over, which is, so like, let's say that, you know, we want to go ahead and buy, you know, currency from, you know, or rather China wants to buy something from us. We want to buy something from China and we have to buy their currencies in kind. Then what happens is China will go ahead and buy a bunch of US currency. And if they're not buying as much as they normally do from us, then they have too much of our currency. And then they just distribute it to their, you know, populace, which is nothing wrong with that. I mean, the country's doing that as a good thing, even though China does not treat its people okay in all regards. I mean, we all know that there's a problem there, especially the Mongolians. I mean, talk about a modern Holocaust. But yeah, that is huge. You know, like I come from the people that are Ashkenazi Jews on my mom's side. I come from those people. So, you know, when I see this stuff happening, I'm like, whoa, you know. But you know, you gotta understand, like, the thing is this: China has tons of US currency and the US owes China tons of basically loans. Like America has a huge loan from China. So if we owe them a bunch of money and China already has a bunch of our currency already purchased to buy our products, and then they have our money and they have our loans. So, you know,
well, you're not just like a lawyer. You're you got your MBA, so you're you have some economics in your background. But that's great. Having an MBA and a law degree really helps to understand a lot of the stuff. I happen to live in the district of Katie Porter, who is, because she's a Harvard trained attorney.
Sure.
And, she taught here at UC Irvine, so she's a pretty smart lady. I'm hoping that she does do something because she knows that there are a lot of people that are disabled in her community, in her district. And I know Senator Warren. So any of you guys that are listening out there, tag those people on Twitter that are your local politicians. Tag them, the federal politicians. And if you don't know who it is, you go to house.gov and type in your zip code, and it'll tell you. Then you just find the person on Twitter. Get on Twitter, tag them, tell them you're worth it. I am worth it. I had to stay inside from March because my doctor told me to, because it was unknown how it was being transmitted at that point.
Yeah.
That was when Dr. Fauci was telling people, you don't have to worry about a mask. It's symbolic. But now we know it's in the air. It's killing people. there still are people out there that are denying this. But yeah, I took a contact tracing course to understand this better. And if I go outside and I catch this, I'm a dead man. And I think this is my thinking. This isn't how the politicians are thinking, but I'm sure you can go along with it on the same track as the way I'm thinking is. I am worth something. I stayed inside. I didn't. I wasn't a spreader of the virus. I did my best to do everything the government told me to do, and the science. The science wasn't right, but my doctor told me, "Hey, stay indoors. You're better off." So yeah, I really think we got to really put pressure on these people and get them to stop with this diversion. Trump's gone. Okay,
Right.
That
Yeah.
was yesterday. It was everything. Vote us in, give us money. All we got to do is get Georgia. So we got Georgia for the Democrats. I don't like to associate with parties, even though I'm a registered Democrat. I vote on topics. I don't vote strictly party line. Those days are over.
I know they removed that from us. Now it's like you either, like I had somebody tell me the other day, he's like, well, you're an idiot because there's no such thing as, and he was right. He was right. You can't just, not vote for that because, and now, what was it? Supreme Court Justice Scalia, my favorite Supreme Court justice. Cat Daddy, thank you so much for donating $15. And also, I just wanted to point out real quick, the other individual, Linda Anash, $20 as well. That you guys are being incredibly, amazingly generous tonight, and I really, really appreciate it. You know, so the weirdest thing was I was sitting there, and every time I would sit there and I think I'd have it figured out. Supreme Court Justice Scalia would come out with this YouTube video or this statement, and the one he came out with, if you guys ever get a chance to watch it, was you have to love the gridlock in America. America is all these systems, they don't all perfectly fit together, and that's the gridlock. And you have to learn to love that because that's how America works. There's no way to just shove something through. But he made all these arguments for it. My brain was thinking the gridlock is terrible, and it is. It is. But he made all these arguments for it that were beautiful. But that is a hyper intelligent genius. And, for that reason, but if you ever get a chance to watch that, it was incredible. But to go back to your point, yeah, there is no immediate solution for the elderly, for the disabled, for the upcoming, for the Gen Y, Z, X, all that stuff. The problem
they're
is
not even talking about robotics and everything else, and why our market is the way it is because robots are doing a lot of the work that humans used to do. They're not talking about those things. They're not. These jobs aren't coming back as easy as people think, and that's going to be another issue we're going to have to deal with eventually. But yeah, for those 1,000 people that Keystone Pipeline put out, I think Biden should have thought about having jobs ready for those people. But yeah, so all right, so I'm just going to keep an eye out for the stimulus, and I've gotten my direct payments before. I don't know why there would be a problem. The only thing I'll continue to say is they say big and bold. I don't know if 1.9 is Nancy Pelosi. She had Mnuchin with Trump at 1.85 trillion. He was ready to sign the deal. He was ready to do an executive order. But yeah, that's all my comments. I don't want to take up all your time. You've been really special. You've been really hopeful. YouTube algorithm got me to you, and I'm going to spread the word.
Thank you, good sir. Yeah.
Put you out there on Twitter if you don't mind.
I don't even have Twitter. There's another thing. I am pathetic when it comes to online stuff. When Twitter started like banning people, I was like, how do I even go look at that? It was so sad.
They don't even give you a reason sometimes why they ban you, but it doesn't matter. I'll just put up your this video, and people can subscribe if they wish, or if they don't, that's fine too. But I'll at least get you out there so people in your area. I don't know Are you able to handle applications for people filing for disability in different states?
So we are doing those now, and the reason why is we used to just keep it to Florida and Georgia, and then the U.S. Virgin Islands creeped into that, and we were doing a couple of Texas, and then we were doing a couple of New Jersey, and then all of a sudden we're in Maine, and now we have Hawaii claims. It's one of those things where we're not doing traditional stand there and be present before the judge hearings because, as you know, it's one of those situations where everything's telephonic and may become video telephonic in the future. But the bottom line is attorneys aren't representing clients and the sitting next to the person like they used to, which is good and bad. Let me tell you, there are many times when I used to be able to use basically the feeling of what the client was saying, what their body language was doing, and I could read that because I knew them and I could direct my questions. But nowadays we don't have that. So the only way I can fix that with modern claimants and testimony shaping is to run the questions with them, 3, 4, 5 times and beat it into them, beat it into them, and beat it into them. Because the only way I can know what they're going to come out with for that hearing is to know that their mind is specifically glued to a statement that they've said 3 or 4 times. So it's tougher, but it does allow me to go into all these other different states to help people. And the weird thing is there are certain states where the disability attorneys are very inadequate in their processing of claims. And I think that, yeah, that's one of the worst states. Yeah.
Lowered the bar here.
Yeah. And that's
God, the Supreme Court just ruled on lowering the bar exam tests.
Which is an interesting. I mean, think of the implication of that in a long-term sense. Think about they took away the gate.
We're gonna have a bunch of idiots sitting at the table doing litigation, right? Yeah.
It's sad,
yeah,
but yeah.
I really, do people tell you they really appreciate you for doing this? You don't have to do this, I mean, this isn't like you have a need or you need to market yourself. It's like you already have an established business with established customers, so it's not like so.
It's true.
I appreciate you.
Somebody called me last night, and I was just finishing up. I was like, okay, I'll take this one last phone call. It's like 11-ish. And then I ended up talking to the person for like an hour and a half about all these different things. And they said the same thing to me. And I never thought of it like that because to me, like I'm a glutton for stupidity when it comes to donating my time. I donate my time, like literally after this session, I have to finish this contract so that on Saturday, when this homeless help station takes items that they basically received in donations, they can have a person who receives a percentage of the sale of those items basically, legally have that person receive those funds so that doesn't hurt the original company, the original nonprofit. So all I can say is this, we're all more aware. If Trump did anything, he made us more aware of what exists in good and bad. And we're all more aware of the laws we want. We're all more aware of how people deserve more. We're all more aware that more money needs to stay in this country for people who are part of this country, who have built this country. I think we're just more aware that at the end of the day, we need to support each other. And the only way to really solidify that is to figure out essentially how much people need to have a good life, what programs are working, what are not, what benefits people should have beyond financial. Because when we think about these benefits, we think about, okay, here's the dollar amount, here's the insurance amount, stuff like that. But there are other things that could be available to people that we don't think about, and that's a terrible thing. I know this sounds crazy and stupid, but why don't we have like a vacation voucher, like something where private corporations work with the government for individuals
They used to do that.
They did? Well,
well, not here in Europe. In Europe, they did. They would give you a paid vacation. They would actually send you where you wanted to go, where your heart's desire, and the state would pick it up.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I mean, you still have things in France. You get 2 months honeymoon vacation paid. I think it's almost up to 6 months of paid leave you get, but we're not in France, so.
Yeah, I'm not saying we should go extreme. Like I was thinking about the other day, universal income and how that would affect things and whether that would be good or bad and everything. And honestly, I haven't dug deep enough into the theoretical doctrinal, idea of it as to whether it would be a good idea. But I would say this: the future of humanity is something like that, 300 years from now, 400 years from now, whatever, because the future of humanity, is going to be constantly creating new societies and new places, and the governments that want people to live and basically create in these places, they're going to create that universal income for those individuals. However, it will not all be one base fundamental. It'll be kind of like Star Trek, where everybody's getting paid a certain amount and they're all part of this corporate identity, and that corporate identity becomes a sovereign nation in whatever planet it takes over. So
yeah, I think Andrew Yang was the Mars family was the one that came. The Mars chocolate family is the one that put him up there with the universal basic income, thinking everybody would go for it. The Mars chocolate family.
I know they bought out a bunch of vet practice stuff. They bought out a bunch of, I think, Banfield. They bought out. That family's been buying businesses like none other. But I always like to follow the money game as to what's going on, and I haven't figured it all out, but I have a better idea as to what's going to be coming in the near future, and it scares the hell out of me. It scares the hell out of me because I'm not financially set up to do mass investments like you need to make this stuff happen. But it was cute to see what they did with GameStop. It was cute to see that happen. Now they're trying to sue the people who did that to the super trust funds, which is not going to be a successful suit. It's not. That's an open market. It's just not going to be a successful suit against those who invested into GameStop. Right. So,
I agree.
But anyways, good sir, let me grab the next.
To talk to you.
You as well, good sir. Have a wonderful, wonderful night, and I will catch you a little bit later.
You too, yes. Thank you very much for your time, and I have some other questions that might benefit you, and I'll call your office. Thank you for your time again. I'm going to keep an eye on all your videos. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Excellent. Thank you. Now. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.
You too. I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, guys. So what I'm going to do is, honestly, the person was right as they were texting about. I shouldn't be using the donation thing through, YouTube Studio. I should be using like a PayPal thing. I do have a PayPal thing set up. I think it's set, but I got to figure out exactly which email I use and stuff like that. In fact, I'm going to be donating to somebody $25, one of the callers. So, and let me grab the next call that calls in. We'll do the next call. One moment. Let's see what we got here. Okay, here we go. So let me get this next call coming in, and then we'll go ahead and keep rolling forward. And then that'll be excellent. Let's see what we got here. Well, it says calling. Here we go. Hi. Hi, can you hear me okay? It's Attorney Walter Nod. Perfect. So real quick, I'm going to put you on speakerphone. Excellent. There it is. Now, remember to use a fake... Yep. Remember to use a fake name throughout this. Would you like me to answer a specific question or run hearing questions with you?
So you're on...
You are live right now on YouTube.
Okay, so I didn't think I would get through. I put you on hold. I switched to one of your videos, and I'm watching that. And so let me close the laptop so I can stay focused on you. Yeah. Yes. So tell me exactly my choices of what to ask.
So you can ask a question about anything that usually a legal question is obviously better, as opposed to a theological question.
Well, of course.
Yeah, and then the other option is if you have a hearing coming up, I can run hearing questions with you, and then basically kind of grill you. If you're new to the hearing questions, take it kind of slow and go through the easier ones. If you really know your stuff, then as I say, I grill people like a whopper, and I trick them, and I get them into a corner, and I make them dig the way out. So it's up to you. Hearing questions or a question.
Okay, so what's going on, and I don't know, this may be beyond what you do, is I have SSDI already.
Okay.
And I went through some incredibly torturous situation in 2015, 16, and 17, okay, and lost my ability to track where funds were coming into my account from SSDI and SSI, into my account, in my bank account, because it was an assumption, and my ability to track it was not. I have PTSD from the situation. So anyway, my bank account just accrued instead of paid for my where I was living. It just accrued in my bank account, went over 2,000.
Yes.
So what happened last year was I discovered that I was over, knew that I had to fight and pay part of who knew what, the collections that was the things that were in my credit collections that were from that period that all got waived, and it's because they were fraud, and so I had to save my money to be able to pay that off, perhaps. I didn't know what was going to be, what I was going to be. I never had to address anything like that. I never had bad credit like that. So I had no idea. So things were just sitting there. I wasn't, nobody gave me money and I had it for free. It was all over there, over 2,000, because of it coming in and not being used, because I was like protecting it to go toward the monies that were in collections that were from these sick people that put me into a breakdown, basically. So what I'm dealing with now is that SSDI gave me a letter and said, "Oh, we noticed you're over 2,000 from 1st of January in 2018 through the 1st of 2020, and you owe us $10,800." And and I don't know if you help in this matter, but I had a lawyer who I eventually found out she was very pregnant, and she was very into doing things just a simple way. It's a free legal clinic in my area in California, and it didn't work. The attempt to waive did not work, and then they started taking $95 of $135 out of my automatic, the money put into my account from SSI and SSDI. And so that's where I'm sitting now, is that, oh my God, I have to go after it some more. And I watched your video about, telling your story like Steven Spielberg,
Yeah.
And I watched that. I was like, I know that's what it's like. It's like I start telling people what I was going through and how I was brought down and why I was not the same type of person I am now. I have my voice now. I survived the worst fire by hell, hell by fire, whatever. You know what I mean? I went through the dark night of the soul. And I came out of that as a better, more intelligent, more able ability to communicate, ability to advocate for myself. But now I'm constantly still struggling with what I went through, the name on me, the slander, all the lies that were put out by these people that I lived at a what do you call it, a senior housing with HUD. I had a HUD voucher. I lost my HUD voucher. I couldn't pay my utilities. My bank account was tapped into. I had money coming out of my account by different an AT&T tech. Put my ran money on my account. It's like it was the most. I was so poor. They killed my car, so to speak. They vandaled my car. It's gone. I lost my car, my HUD, my apartment, my identity. I was fraud. I was slandered. I was, everything. And I need to battle that. And I don't know about statute of limitations and so forth as far as that's like part B of this question. The first part is now with SSDI. Is there? I mean, I've been calling
getting hung up on too during the pandemic. People who pick up the phone and they're calling from their home from SSA and the local place here, just hang up when I'm not even angry. I'm just, describing things, and they'll say, "Okay, well, what are you getting at, ma'am?" I said, "I'm almost there. If you can hold on," and then I'm hung up. It's just the most demoralizing thing to stay up while they go low. Stay high while they go low. Call again. Take time out. And then I finally got through, and then somebody said, get this SSA form, and so luckily I got a printer a couple years ago, and so I'm printing out the form. Doing I should be a lawyer. It's like that kind of thing. It's like I've learned so much about this. My BA in psychology, all these different things, and it's like no, I want to get out from under this. So one. Getting to where I am not being zapped. Like I said, bring it down to $10 instead of $95. She said, that'll take 89 years to pay it off. I said, well, I can't help you. I'm going to be 64, but I know how much rent costs. And this elder woman I moved in with said, $1,400 is going to come into her. She can afford to pay $50 more for rent. I don't even know if that's something that's legal. So I'm being hit with every side of trying to keep, because I still am disabled. I'll just stop there. Let me hear you.
Well, the first one is, it sounds like an overpayment. How much is the overpayment for?
$10,800 is what they said. We'd be going over $2,000.
So you're on SSI. The SSI resource limitation for poverty gotcha. So did you file your 632 form to begin that process?
I don't know what the 6 point. What'd you say?
Did you file the 632 form to go ahead and seek a reduction of the amount that's actually due?
No, I didn't I didn't hear a 6.25. Let me see if I can find that.
So it's called a SSA 632 PDF. That's how you look it up on Google. SSA 632 PDF. That's about the waiver or partial waivement of the funds that are due. And here's what I would say too. Yeah.
Can I ask? What I was told was the 634, which is request for change in overpayment recovery rate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's once you're paying, but that's kind of a down the line figure. Did you ever get a reduction as the amount that was actually,
No.
Okay, yeah.
So they said you failed it. Whatever was turned in by the lawyer, your file didn't come up to snuff. We're going to get it from you anyway. So if you want, you have 65 days to request for reconsideration. And so I finally just made a copy of the what is it, 561 U2.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to
do your appeal. Yeah. Here's what I would do. I would seek the submission of a 632 form to get a reduction of the 10,000 down to as much as you can. I'd speak with an attorney well, most attorneys aren't going to help you with this. Shoot me an email with basically, once you get the 632, fill it out, send it to me. And then basically call me during the next live. And what I'll do is I'll go through it with you as I'm reading through it. And then I'll go through, okay, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? And I'll give you options as to reasons why they should reduce the overall amount. Because remember, the SSA likes to protect their trust fund, and that's fine. But at the bottom line is, it's an odd reason to just leave funds in there. Somebody was obviously paying for you to be able to live. But the bottom, wait a minute. How long before? All right, so here's the real question. What was the first month that they said you were over the $2,000 limit?
January 1st, 2018. And I was living in a place that they raised the SSI so that I could pay board and care amount. You know what I mean? They raised that in California. It wasn't just the low amount. So I was paying $1,000 something for board and care, not just for rental.
Okay.
So that's why it went up so fast. I thought I was paying everything out that I was getting, and like I said, I wasn't even accessing my account because who'd have thunk that it just kept coming in.
Yeah.
And not be paying for a hospital that I had been at. It was so bizarre.
Well, all right. Let me ask you this. So, what was that date again? It was 2018. Is that correct?
Yeah, January 1st on 2018 through till the 1st of 2020.
Okay. So then, next question I have for you is: okay, when were you found disabled?
Oh well, see, gosh, 2002 or 4. Okay. I can't remember right now. I think it's 4.
Okay. Why did things transition? And I understand there were people in your life that made things difficult, but why did things transition to the point where you were not expecting to have those funds? Tell me a little bit more about why you did not have access to your account, why you did not have the expectation of having funds in that account.
Okay. This is more detail-y, personal. So, okay. I had caregivers. Okay. I was on my spine was out of place. I had fibromyalgia, I had muscle pain, I had knee pain, I got SSDI the first time, and I wrote it out, and I got that, and I went to every doctor and made sure and got him from all the back rooms at different places, and I got all my files. I couldn't do it anymore. I got my money waived for college, paying my loans waived because I kept trying and I get off. I used to be a contractor, specifically a laborer in my 20s. So I developed and didn't know it, that going knees. So grinding away stuff. I had an accident at a job that they said, oh no, she's just trying to get money to go back and finish her BA. And I, torqued my spine twisted, and I had to have a full right shoulder replacement because I used to build houses and paint houses and stuff. So that was what was going on. And yet, I, being a psychology major and a spiritual being, focused on me just being depressed and anxious. And then I had to start realizing I was dealing with physical stuff that was breaking me down.
So you had caretakers. What position were these caretakers? Payees? Yeah.
They were in-home support service workers from the county. I got a HUD voucher from one of the places that I stayed in for a month, and oh God, let's see, way back when, and that was a really big thing. What it's like, wow. And so I had my caregiver turned pretty negative because sadly a new person that got into the supervisor job came out and saw me after I slipped and fell and had an accident in spring of 2015, and I could barely walk. I was rocking, right, because I couldn't sit. I had no idea until a year and a third, did I find out that I had broken the root of the tooth. 2 had cracked off, and my jaw was so far out of place that I couldn't even brush the back of one of my teeth. So I was dealing with an infection from a dead root near my brain, in my mouth, and my body was sickened from that and didn't even know that was happening, and the doctors didn't find out or anything. So my disabilities got exacerbated, but right before that accident, my caregiver was ready to move on. She wanted me to fire her for that unemployment benefit vacation, and I didn't, and I couldn't find another caregiver. And when I had the accident, she stayed on. She did not like being there because she got her hours pulled back because of one person who said, oh, you don't look too bad. You can walk. You're getting too many hours for care. So, wow, it's incredible how much power a woman can have, but that's what happened.
So walk me through this. You had a caregiver. Was the caregiver registered through the state, or was that other individuals?
In 2016, my caregiver quit. I'm sorry, I didn't hear your message.
So the caregiver that was actually having access to your funds, were they set up through the state? Because the state usually doesn't allow them to be a payee status.
Well, at the county.
Okay.
The county. She didn't have. No, she was not a payee.
Okay.
Still in my name, but she handles my medications, my everything, and I right before the accident, I was ready to come up. I mean, I had got the need for Norco just to move. I never got into Norco, like getting high or any of the stuff, the opioid, but that had nothing to do with why I was using it. It was always medically taken just so I could walk. My knees were so out of place, but I've ripped them back into the best place that they can be, and I don't need opioids anymore. So that's how bad. And who knew, right? But that's what was going on. Nobody took care of me in the medical field.
So you had fraud committed against you, essentially. You had fraud committed against you, essentially. I
had what?
It sounds like you had an individual who had access to your account that shouldn't have had access to your account.
Yeah, she actually paid herself more than she should have been paid once. But that wasn't the issue. That was before 2018. She quit in 2016, the month before I moved this tax credit housing situation, which should have been like great, had my own place, my own room, but she quit, and I had to start walking and feeding myself. I had to start driving to the store myself in my car, and it was just an insane situation, and if I get into the details, I even start talking about it, I get shaky because I've been looked at by the police like I'm crazy. And it's not. I'm not. I have a doctor that knows that the diagnosis that I was given is false, and I need to go and sue the psychiatrist at the time and the other behavioral specialists. But that's another matter. So I just basically I just use every toolbox of spiritual and psychological and practical experience, and to just keep persevering through one thing after another that I was hit with. I'll just call it that, hit with. My place was broken into, things were stolen. My it was against all the things, like my spiritual practices were not okay. My being a Democrat and watching Hillary, on the convention was not okay. I mean, I was attacked by who she called at that time, sadly, the deplorables. And that's who I was under the assault from, were people that I wasn't like. And but I was just trying to make it. I was I have lost 22 pounds in a month, just to give you an idea of what takes care of my own eating after my caregiver quit, how intense that switch was. So this was 2016. In 2017, I started going into hospitals because my car was demolished, or not demolished, what's the word? My water pump was, they unscrewed it, emptied my water pump, and when I was driving someplace, it broke my timing belt.
All right.
And so my wonderful 96 Honda's dead, and so I had to start renting cars to get food and this and that, and I had no money in my account. It was absolutely no money in my account, and so when I stopped being able to keep trying to get that money returned to my account. It's an AT&T tech and games that were being done.
Okay. Well, I tell you what.
No idea.
Like, send me an email specifically with the legal question, and what I'm looking for is the reasoning, the backdrop, if you will, for essentially what caused them to look into and then claim there's too much funds here. Because I'm hearing some things that are valuable for it and then some things that aren't relevant to it, but I need clarification. Send me an email. I'll check it out. And then from there, I'll catch up with you, and we can always catch up at the next live session. You know.
Can I just, okay, wonderful, thank you. And can I just say one thing is that the only reason that they went back was that I recognized that I was over 2,000. I had moved to a place that was now paying for a room instead of board and care. And so I went to the Social Security office to fill out the forms and to let them know how much I'm paying and that I need to drop down from the high SSI to the normal SSI amount to 135 instead of whatever it was, 1,000 something, and told them, I'm right around 2,000, and so that woman apparently told somebody who then looked back and saw that I was over 2,000 for 2 years. That's how that started.
Send me the SSA form that they sent you. That way I can take a look at it. What I'll do is, send me that because I can give you some guidance. But grab that 632 form, fill out a prototype version, template version. And then what we'll do from there is we'll go ahead and see if there are other options for you to make as complaints or requests to go ahead and have that reduced. Because look, if you and I can reduce that by $5,000 or some amount, it puts you in a significantly better payoff point than you were before,
But doing that won't erase the idea that I shouldn't be paying it at all.
It might
have that reconsidered.
They kill off overpayments when they're $1,000 or less, but 10 grand's, you know what I mean? There might be a little bit of wiggle room there, but we'll see what we can do. Yeah. So.
3-2, right?
Yeah.
3-2. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry it took so long. I tried to be quicker than other people were going, God, get off the phone.
No, you're fine.
And so I apologize. Thank you so much for answering. I appreciate you. Okay.
Thank you. Well, have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll catch you at the next live, and I'll catch you via email.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, guys, we're gonna do let's do like one more call because I still have to write that contract, and I'm at 10% battery, and then basically we'll go from there. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Let me see if I can get this person on the phone, and then we'll go ahead and see what we can do there. Hi, as it turns out, we are live on YouTube. I'm giving you a call. Remember to use a fake name, and would you like me to answer a specific question, or would you like me to go ahead and run hearing questions with you?
I have a specific question.
Sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
Is this really you?
Yeah, it's me. I'm on YouTube live, and
I'm sorry, I thought you were recording.
No, I know. A lot of people think my voice is like when I answer the phone nowadays. People are like, "Are you sure it's you?" And I'm like, I mean, unless some like thing took over my body. I mean, But yeah, no, it's me. I'm the sleep deprived, work hard every day. Hi. So yes.
Yeah. You're not the kind of lawyer I had married and divorced.
Oh, that is the best comment of the night. I love that. That's good. That's very good. I like that a lot. Yes, ma'am. But
I was talking back and forth with Cheyenne about back in 2006. He's a non-working lawyer. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. And he had gotten SSI for me because we had no money. Mm-hmm. And they gave it to him 2 years retroactive, but people keep telling me I need to apply for SSDI. Mm-hmm. And he had never told me that, and I didn't understand why, because all my Medicaid bills are getting paid, my prescriptions, and, I get a certain amount of money each month, for rent and stuff like that. So to me, I'm sitting very well, for being on disability. So should I still apply for SSDI?
How long ago was it that you worked over the table, like worked at the job that paid taxes?
Oh, a very long time ago, like in my 20s. So that would be like 30 years ago or more.
Yeah. So in that case, you wouldn't be able to go on to that SSDI program because you have to have these things called quarters of coverage. And these quarters of coverage are earned by paying taxes. And you can get up to 4 of them per year. Right now, if you earned around, 55 to 6 grand in a year, you'll basically, pay taxes on it. You'll be able to get all 4 quarters of coverage. But yeah, bottom line is, you would need a significant increase in the amount of quarters of coverage you had. Could be 20 more, could be, whatever. But you would need a chunk. And remember, for SSDI, it's a 2-element situation when it comes to those quarters of coverage. Element 1, you got to have enough for your age. So it's like you have to have a total enough. And then element 2 is you got to have 20 within the past 10 years. So you, no matter what, have to get a total of 20 quarters of coverage within the past 10 years, which means you got to have at least within the past 10 years have earned 6 grand over a total of 5 years. So, it's one of those gigs where you're kind of stuck on SSI unless you can go with the route of going and earning more quarters of coverage. But I mean, do you want to go back to work? I mean, do you want to do like a ticket to work program, or what do you think?
No, right now I just actually had those knees replaced. And, but I also have some mental issues that I'm working on, so I'm really not able to deal with the anxiety, entailed with working. But I was told by a local branch here that I should apply for his Social Security when I'm 63.
Yeah.
And if he made nothing, there's nothing there, right?
So you can apply for his Social Security. Wait, you're already found disabled. So, and how long were you married to this person?
20 years.
You poor thing. No, just kidding.
I know, really.
Yeah.
2 decades of a mistake.
Oh God, that is a very scary thing because marriage and relationships they last longer than school does, than jobs do. I mean that could be a big long thing. But yeah, since you were married to him for so long, I think it's like it's 50 years old. You can reach out to try and tap into his benefits, which is essentially spousal benefits. So you can apply for that. Call up the SSA tomorrow and say I'd like to tap into his benefit. Well, how old is he now?
He's 60, and I'm 58.
All right, so he may, and I have to look up the rules specifically for it because I sometimes get them mixed up, but he might have to actually achieve retirement age for you to tap into his benefits. Let me look it up right now because I always get that mixed up in my head. But let's see, disabled spouse benefits, 50 years old, and then usually it's disabled worker receives. No, that's not it. Hold on.
When we went to divorce court, the lawyer said he is the only lawyer he's ever met who's lived here for 10 years and had not one case on his docket, like ever. He's like not worked, but he keeps his license going.
So how did he make money though?
I don't know. He took a lot of money from my parents. I found out after they died. I find paperwork that says he wrote out a contract to my parents for $25,000 and said that I would be required to pay it back. And I didn't know anything about it. I didn't sign these papers.
I mean, that is super fraud. This guy's still alive?
Yeah. Regretfully, yeah.
And all you did was divorce him? I feel like there should be more to that story,
Well, I didn't know what to do when I went to court. And they said if he earned like $6,000 a year, I could get 20% per quarter. And he's supposed to give me his financials 4 times a year and his income tax, but he never does that.
So how long ago was it that you divorced him?
2011.
2011, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. This sounds like fraud there. I mean, disbarment, all that stuff. I mean, that's...
I tried to go to like adult protective services about it because, he just took all my money and because I was so depressed that I was like living in the bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
and so he had charge of everything. And also, I found out he had taken loans out in my name. He had taken a loan out, and he used somebody who died. He got a hold of their business records, used their tax number, and said that I worked for them for like 10 years, and I never worked for these people. And the police here said, "Oh, well, that's over the internet, so we can't help you."
Wait a minute. So you had, oh my God. So you had basically multiple levels of fraud committed against you. I mean, has he paid those off? Has he cleared that all out?
Oh, he's never cleared any of it off. There was phone bills, there's tons of stuff. And I've just, I had the withdrawal to claim bankruptcy, so most of them have fallen off of my name, but I have no credit at all now.
Okay. So usually, just so you know, the other thing, like if you're 50 and disabled, you can tap into his benefits, but that's if the other spouse taps into their benefits. But I guess the thing I'm a little bit more concerned about here, how do you even know what loans are taken out in your name?
No, no, I don't know all the ones that he took out. And he also, a couple of years ago, I told my kids to run credit checks on themselves, and they each found out he had credit cards out in their names. And they went to the credit card companies, and all they did was change it into his name and said that he had to make payments on those or they prosecute. But it was, they just slapped him on the wrist. He doesn't even work. I don't know how he gets any money. I mean, I think he must work off the book somehow. I think he might have accounts in New York State under my kids' names, but I can't find any of that stuff out.
Well, the easy way to do it is just go to TransUnion, pay them their 24 or $20, whatever it is a month, and do it. You can do a quick look at exactly what's on your credit. When I went to go buy a house, there was a credit card on my account that was like a $42,000 limit credit card that wasn't mine. So yeah, but you'll see all that stuff on your account. I mean, that's going to be very relevant. I'd pay that monthly thing and figure out what your actual report is. So the thing with, yeah, so you officially divorced him though, right? It wasn't like a
Yeah,
it wasn't like a hey, we're just not going to be cool with each other thing. It was an official divorce.
official, yeah.
So the rules for the whole divorce spouse gig is 10 years or more, which you're at 20 years, so you're fine there. You've got to be at least 62 years old. However, if your ex-spouse is deceased, which he's not, and you're currently unmarried, which I don't know what your marital status is, you can collect benefits.
No, I'm unmarried, yeah.
Okay, so yeah. So he's not dead, but if he were, you could collect benefits as early as age 60 as a surviving divorced spouse, but since you're disabled, you can collect them as early as 50. So that's kind of the gigaroo. So and how old were you again? What's your current age?
58, and I don't know if he's always wanted to claim being disabled. And did you say if he's on disability?
That was for if he was deceased. But there is another thing where if he is on SSA benefits, then you can tap into them earlier as well. So, I mean, do you know if he's on? I mean, how old is he? I mean, how much older is he than you?
He's just 2 years older.
So that puts him at 60, so he's not on retirement, which means he's either on SSDI, or if he never worked, like you said, he'd be on SSI, which means that potentially. But then, I mean, you got to understand, if this guy never worked, he may not have enough quarters to cover. He may not have his 40 QCs.
What's that?
40 quarters of coverage. Like he may not have. Like, I mean, if a guy's opening up credit cards for his kids, you know what I mean? If he's having fraudulent contracts with you, and he's putting you on loans. I mean, this guy sounds like the best criminal I know.
Oh yeah, he's pretty horrible.
I mean, holy cow! You know, like I know drug dealers that don't have this guy's skill. So,
I actually
you know,
have a computer with questionable material on it. I gave it to the police. They had it for 10 years and did nothing with it.
yeah, I have not been very successful with handing over things against people who are committing illegal crimes. I've not had much success with that either because I come across many of the evil. I'll tell you, there's no people on earth that I hate more than drug dealers. I feel really bad for the drug users because they're stuck. Like, you know what I mean? Their brains are chemically changed. There's nothing new. But the drug dealers, yeah. So
I never knew anything about drugs and drug users until I moved to Rutland, Vermont.
Really?
And,
Vermont?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my, it's so prevalent. They have nothing to do. There's no work here. And they also, they don't have any, when they get brought up, they're not brought up with manners. They don't know how to help people if they're not getting something. The young people are like this. The young people who are like lazing around, you know, because now that I'm on SSI, I live in, you know, this different kind of income world.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
and I was brought up in suburbia outside of Philadelphia, so it was really a new thing to have to deal with.
well, let me tell you, when I first started the law firm and was going into the woods to help people fill out their forms to get them done because they just couldn't, they were so disabled. There was nobody to get to them. Like people would just bring them food and they would literally slowly die in their tents. Like that was a shocker for me. I mean, I was so many times I was almost bitten by dogs that were just doing their job. And that's when I learned to just bring
chicken. Are your parents alive?
Wait, say it again.
Are your parents alive?
Yeah.
You know what?
They're never going to die.
I just started hearing your show.
Yeah.
Would you thank your parents for being the parents they are?
Yeah, of course. I will get my father a bottle of wine because that's what would, you know, and or a hot tub. Although the thing that was very important is the Harley trike. That, let me tell you, he's got and he is a nice Harley trike. He's done the little options and gadgets and thingies to it because the Harleys, they're all, you can add all this chrome stuff and this and that and the blinky lights and everything. But he really likes that thing, let me tell you. And I mean, it's nice too. It was a year where they had like a lot of custom colors and they did all these things on top of it. And it just looked special. You know, like the Harleys nowadays, it's all one color and a sticker, and they slap a sticker on. Maybe they'll get a badge, but it's all one color. It's, yeah, you know. But this was one that where it was like they took their time on it. It was a color that you look at it and you're like, I'm not really sure what that color is called. It was one of those situations, you know. So yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm trying to buy a new phone and I can't make a decision. But you know what? None of them, hardly any of them, have any colors. You know.
Yeah.
Everything's black.
Oh yeah. Well.
And you're paying out all this money for them. And that's another thing. People can get free phone. Well, I don't think they're free anymore. I think the government's asking $25.
Correct.
For the phones. They have free phones that you can get from the government.
So the way it works is that you can get free phones, but if you lose it within a certain amount of time span before getting another one, you have to pay $25. However, you can schmooze and negotiate that amount down. And we had to go through that 3 times over the past 2 months because, you know, a lot of my claimants are homeless and they kept losing their phones. Well, one of them, to be fair, didn't lose his phone. He used it as a transaction to obtain something illegal. And as a result of that, he no longer had that phone and it was being used by somebody else as a burner phone. So
I have probably lost about $5,000 over the past 10 years to drug addicts because I've tried to help them. And, you know, I kind of tried to take them under my wing and see that you can be a different person. And it still hasn't. I hope I made some kind of impact by being kind to them, but in the end, they just stole from me.
You know, the thing I would say about the modern drug addict is that they are chemically mentally changed. They can be
Yeah.
changed back to some degree. It takes either prison, jail, a tough program to separate them completely from those people that got them into that situation. And the only way for that I've seen it to work is that they truly have to lose nearly everything. They've got to lose their teeth, they've got to lose their family, they've got to lose everything, and then at that point hit rock bottom, and at that point get scooped up by a tough program, and at that point then begin the 6 month uphill battle just to get through the constant shaking and needs for those drugs. But it can be done. It's just extremely costly, which is why I don't.
Well, the
You know,
government
yeah,
now has them all on Suboxone that they can't get off of. And I've thought to myself, like, if they want to get in the program, they know what pain is. They don't need the pain. Put them in comas for a few weeks, ship them to another part of the country for a full year with limited contact to family and stuff like that, and then put them in a work program and get them to, you know, have no, they just have to start fresh, and then maybe after 2 or 3 years they can go back to their original home state. But
I'm with you, except for the coma part. I mean, you can't chemically, induce coma and usually get away with it. Or, you know. But the other weird thing is this: I love Maine. I love Maine. I like going to Maine because the culture up there. But Maine has become a drug-infested state. Maine.
Yeah.
That's weird. Alaska, drug-infested state. So where do we send these people? You know what I mean? Like there's no, Colorado, drug infested state. Where do we send these people where there's no drug? And the reality is, the only place where you can send them where there's no drugs is Antarctica. That's pretty much it. You know.
Well, you just love going there, yeah.
And on those icebreaker ships, that med kit would get used. So I'm just.
Oh gosh, that would disappear.
It would be gone. There would be white powder on the eggs and potatoes for that morning. Oh my gosh. Yeah. But that's the thing too. As much as I want to help those individuals, I don't feel like and I've seen the programs. I've seen all the programs that do the different systems, and they all are useful and helpful in their own right and way, and I support them and I donate towards them. But I don't think we've figured out how to beat drugs yet at a level that
we're
is.
We're getting less and less money here for programs.
Yeah.
Even the mental health programs are, run on a shoestring now.
Yeah.
And they used to have a good program where they bring people in, but they also had drug addicts coming from court.
Yeah.
Coming in, and granted they needed it, but they were just laughing, Joe. And that was my first learning about how drugs get sent. Like these people are telling me all this stuff about the drug culture, and then once I got divorced and I was having to find my own apartments and stuff, and kind of living among them, and it's so different than anything I thought. They're not bad people, but they've been brought up poorly. The education system sucks.
Yeah.
So what are they going to do?
Well, here's what I'd say. People always argue they weren't taught to do or be a certain way, but society has a way of teaching people by their existence in it. So what you deal with here is most of these people are not bad people. Most of these people are stuck on a drug which causes them to steal for the drug. That's why they lost everything to begin with. The drug users are rarely the evil sort that wants to see the world burn. The drug users are usually the individuals who got stuck up in some sort of fix my emotional problem, fix my anxiety, fix my depression, fix my emotional problem, fix my physical pain problem. They get stuck up in using something that's cheaper than the medical facility, the medical industry has, and it's faster to obtain the illegal drugs. And as a result of that, they're stuck for life and become a zombie, and they don't have a way out, and they get stuck losing everything they have.
I know it's ridiculous how cheap it is.
It is weird that it stayed as cheap as it has for like 20 years. It's been the same price. It's weird, like they haven't had a cost of living adjustment in the drug industry. It's weird, they're like a dime is this much and a dime is, yada yada, and they're like, and I'm just like, hasn't it gone up, and
well, doesn't
yeah,
all the fentanyl comes from China now through Mexico?
yeah.
So
I had a buddy who actually got a dose of that when he bought illegal drugs, and the poor guy died poorly.
Yeah, I've known some people here who have died too.
Yeah, and the sad thing about it is that we are usually, here's the thing too, if we were to harness more of the good deeds and work product of those people who got stuck with becoming a drug addict, we would add a significant amount of financial benefit to America, because that's how many people are on drugs in a bad way. I'm personally tired of blaming the drug users, because I can't blame them anymore. I just can't.
Yeah, I don't blame them. I mean, they didn't know. Well, I guess, initially, why did you take the drug? Was it like a prescribed drug you got stuck on, or were you bored? But you can, like, I've been a lucky person. Like, I've tried little things in my life and nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
And I feel blessed for that. But I know they can get off drugs if they want. I just have such belief in them, but they don't have any belief in themselves.
Well, and that's part of the thing, is that when something, whether it's a politician makes you feel alone, a drug that makes you feel like you need it to be able to feel relaxed, forget all the problems, whether it's a parent that makes them feel like they're inadequate, whether it's a boyfriend or a husband that sexually abuses somebody to the point where they don't feel like they have self-worth, all these things tap into the same basic fundamental mind warping sentence. And the thing is that drugs offer a cheap, quick, easy way to achieve what a movie theater does, to achieve what a carnival ride does, to achieve what all these quick little chemical emotional response requirements are. The problem is, though, that they are addicting in the sense of tobacco is, but in my opinion, tobacco is not nearly as bad to quit. But and when people argue that tobacco is harder to quit than heroin, I don't take them seriously in that. It's just not the same. Like, heroin is way more severe with trying to quit that than tobacco.
Yeah, but the thing is, cigarettes are everywhere and they're legal.
They're
it's just like when I first moved to Vermont, you can get liquor anywhere you want. You can go to the 7-Eleven and get liquor. Now, when I was in Pennsylvania, you had to go to a state store or to a beer store.
Yeah.
But here, I see people just walk out of the store with a can and getting in their car, or like lines coming out of the places on a Friday night.
Yeah.
I've never seen people drink so much, and I'm just amazed at, like, if they put more taxes on liquor, the state would freak out. We'd have, or like if they took the liquor tax away, the state would have no money. If we didn't have drug addicts and alcoholics, the state would have no tax money.
If you really want to fix the economy, legalize marijuana. If you really want to get rid of drugs, find a way to basically inject the body with something so that those drugs no longer have the positive chemical effect that they did before, and people will have to stop using them.
When they do that, then they go out and that's when they kill themselves, because they keep trying. They'll do 5 bags of heroin to try and get the feeling, and they can't get it. Do you know, one of the people I know gave me the Narcan that they give people, and he said, "Here, I want you to have this just in case anybody ever needs it." And I'm like, I don't want to have anybody here who's going to need that. But I kept it just in case, but that just freaks me out a bit.
Here's, and I don't have a solution. I've thought
No.
about it many, many nights in a row. I know this, though, and this is very important. It used to be that the men were the ones the most quickly getting hooked onto these drugs. Now it's the women, because women are used for sexual purposes to go ahead and obtain more drugs, and it's a terrible repetitive cycle of abuse. Um,
Yeah.
I don't believe we are training women to properly self protect themselves, not only in a physical fight kind of way, knowing how to use a knife, knowing how to use taekwondo, knowing how to use a firearm, things like that. There's so many things we could do to enhance the rights of women, to enhance the likelihood that a woman would be able to significantly reduce the chance of harm to her in a negative situation. And it's because we don't take those initial steps, we end up with people getting raped, we end up with people getting murdered, we end up with people getting stuck on drugs, we end up with people essentially.
These girls, they're not being brought up with any self-respect.
Right.
Knowing that they're worth more than what some nasty relative did to them. I mean, there's so much sexual abuse through relatives up here.
Yeah.
And nobody talks about it like in the papers or prosecutes them. They just keep sweeping it under the rugs. And I don't know any police force here that isn't on the take. That isn't, they just, I knew this one person in a town, and he was dealing so much OxyContin and stuff like that, and in and out of his subsidized apartment, and the cops just looked another way.
There's a problem, which is that we have made it acceptable in society to accept drugs that cause long-term harm. But I would say this: why haven't we figured out how to invent something like this that doesn't have the negative effects? I mean, we can re-engineer DNA at the highest and most accurate level using CRISPR. 2 women got a Nobel Science Award for it.
So just like the Inuits and Native Americans, they're missing the chromosome that would help them metabolize alcohol. That's why so many become alcoholics, is because they can't metabolize it.
Yeah, the Native Americans had a really tough time with that, because a lot of bars way back in the early version, well, actually, it was actually before America was even formed, that a lot of that stuff was going on, where they would get extremely, extremely drunk from it. And then they did the medical study and figured out that genetically they had a predisposition for not essentially being able to cut it off in that regard. And I mean, I'm the opposite. I can't even have a beer because I get a horrible stomachache. My face turns red. There's something genetically wrong with me.
Oh my gosh, me too. Me too.
So, yeah. So, but
it's embarrassing.
It is, especially when you're like sipping a blueberry beer that's like half filled with blueberries. I rock that, though. I make it look good. I do a good job with it. So. Anyways, though, I gotta go ahead and pop off because I have to write this contract for this 501c3 and get them rolling, because I don't want, I don't want them to be legally, But anyways, Madame, have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful night. I will catch you a little bit later, and don't be afraid to catch. Yeah. And
if you ever want to chit chat, just call me up. I'm bored.
Will do.
So,
and I'll catch up with you in the near future. Have a blessed night, and you go from there. Yeah.
You too, Walter.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Hey guys, so what I'm going to do is I have to do a quick kind of count of basically who we feel that the $25 should be going to. Every single time we do a live, we're going to be donating $25 to a particular caller. I have not been doing a good job of notating exactly what phone numbers went with who. So if I am not able to figure that out, I'll make another video asking for that person to reach out to me to go ahead and basically go from there. But I just wanted to give you a quick little, I voted for the Colonel too. I just wanted to give you a quick heads up. Last week, we had a unique situation with this whole donation thing. It was a unique situation. And basically, Florida couple was one of the winners, and the other winner was that Georgia couple. And Florida couple, basically, I called her up and I said, look, I want to donate to you. And Georgia, we're going to do 2 donations. Special. It's the first night. Let's do it. And she wouldn't let me donate to her. She wouldn't let me donate to her. So what I did was she said she wanted me to donate her funds to that Georgia couple. So I did. So the Georgia couple got $50. I then made a donation of a lot of the things that I know her dogs want to her, and I think that's very important. She got a nice little boost of a lot of treats and things like that. However, there is a thing. I agreed, in addition, to donate an additional $25 to basically a dog or cat or pet related group, and I have been waiting for people to basically give me which group they want to do. I think she gave me the one. I even took a picture of it on the screen as to specifically which group she was thinking about donating to. So I'll probably donate to that one. But if there is a group that you feel we should donate to specifically for animals, I know there's the Texas thing going on where they're trying to take care of animals that are in the freezing cold. We're going to be donating an additional amount specifically for animals because I'm a big advocate for animal rights. First part of my life is disability rights for people. Second part of my life, space rights for people. Last part of my life, animal rights. So, bottom line is if you have a particular group that you think would be good for this, I'm totally open to it. All right, so I see the colonel. I see the colonel. I see the colonel. Colonel. I'll look up his phone number. I'll give him a call or reach out to him tomorrow or over the weekend to go ahead and donate the funds. He'll get $25, which is excellent. And other than that, good. Humane Society, SPCA, absolutely. Yeah, we'll catch up in the near future. If you have any additional questions, don't be afraid to call in next week. And Hot Mess, I'll check it out, absolutely. And we'll go from there. Keep in mind, I've got to finish this little contract, but then other than that, we'll go from there and we'll keep working away. Have a wonderful night, and just keep coming up with great stuff, guys. You've been writing in on videos, things that you want Biden to know about. You've been writing in on videos about ways we can improve the system. Keep giving me great ideas for my brain to turn it into a legal entity to be used as basically a vehicle for these politicians to basically drive it into the legislature and say, here's the law we want, make it happen. That's how it works. That's how it works. But Dixie Prince, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That's incredible. Thank you. Um, thank you. Seriously, that's you guys. This really helps me. I use a lot of those funds of donations to buy the dogs treats, and they're so chubby. But that's not my fault because they're just adorable. But bottom line is, thank you. I really appreciate it. Have an absolutely wonderful night, and we will. Lily, let me know. Lily, the great. Let me know specifically what happens. I'm very curious. We'll go from there, and I'll catch you a little bit later. And thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful night. Bye bye.